See whoever is there. No, 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 no. But I'll just give a small introduction of myself. I have. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. A very good morning to all present here. We shall now begin our day 3 of the EAS AINU Conclave with our 4th session. The session is titled Exploring Collaborative Research Opportunities Between Universities from India and East Asia. This session aims to touch upon curriculum innovation to accommodate and support international collaborations, interdisciplinary opportunities, and approaches to strengthen student engagement through interactive and inclusive collaborations. The session will be chaired by respected Professor S.K. Mohanty, who is a professor at RIS, and is joined by co-chair, respected Mr. Kung Chan Meng, Chief Executive Officer, NUS ISS, National University of Singapore. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our chair and co-chair. Our chair, Professor S.K. Mohanty, is a distinguished economist whose works spans trade, investment, regional cooperation, and economic policy. He has led major studies on India-China trade, India-Africa partnerships, South Asian value chains, and outward FDI, while also addressing non-tariff measures, fisheries cooperations in the Indian Ocean Rim, and regional trading arrangements such as SAFTA, IBSA, and GSTP. Combining policy analysis with institutional frameworks, his research offers strategic insights on investment, trade liberalization, and regional integration, shaping discourse on development in South Asia and beyond. Mr. Kung Chan Meng is CEO of NUS ISS and a member of its management board, where he has led 3 strategic planning cycles to position the institute as Singapore's leading center for digital talent development and CET. He previously served as Group CIO of RGE, Government CIO of Qatar, and held leadership roles in EDS, Artis Origin, Singapore Computer Systems, the Information Technology Institute, and the National Computer Board. A fellow of the Singapore Computer Society and member of ACM at the US, he also serves on the International Advisory Board of the Institute for Digital Technology and Economy at Hanoi University of Science and Technology and the advisory panel of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Singapore. We are also graced by the presence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, during the session. The session has 5 speakers. Each speaker is requested to speak for about 10 minutes for their presentation and is kindly requested to adhere to the time limits. The respected chair is kindly requested to open the session, while a respected co-chair is requested to conclude with his remarks and QA about the end of the session. I would now like to request our chair, Professor S.K. Mohanty ji, to kindly commence the session.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this new session. Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, Vice Chancellor, Nalanda University. Distinguished participants, esteemed faculty members and students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this important session on collaborative research between universities from India and East Asia. We gather here not only as academic and policymakers, but as partners committed to nurturing a knowledge ecosystem and connect our students, teachers and researchers across borders. The 21st century is often called the Asian century. This is not just because of our economic dynamism, but also because of the vast intellectual capital housed in our universities and research institutions. Today, the need for collaborative research, which is more pressing than ever, as challenges of trade, development, climate change, technological disruption, and sustainable growth. And these challenges are not limited to any national boundaries. India has already developed strong partnership with several East Asian countries in diverse domains, from joint research on climate resilience and renewable energy to collaborations in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and the blue economy. These initiatives underline our truth. Knowledge expands when shared. As an academician who has spent much of his career studying global trade and development, I firmly believe that The role of universities goes beyond classrooms. Universities are catalysts for innovation, centers for critical thinking, and platforms where tomorrow's leaders are nurtured. Collaborative research between India and East Asian universities must therefore aim at creating both intellectual wealth and social impact. Our cooperation should focus on specific priority areas, trade and development, ensuring growth in inclusive and supportive lifestyle, technology and innovation, preparing our youth for the future of work, sustainable energy and climate change, safeguarding the planet for generations, the blue economy and maritime cooperation vital for livelihood, connectivity and regional prospects. This partnership is also about people-to-people contact. When students and teachers travel and research together, they build trust and understanding across borders. It is this link that transforms academic cooperation into lasting regional dependence. Let us ensure that the outcome of our research feed directly to the policy making and industry so that knowledge translates into tangible progress. Before I conclude, let me emphasize collaborations in no longer optional, it is rather essential. The University of India and East Asia must collaborate and work together, not just as contributors of knowledge, but find solutions to numerous challenges that we are facing today. Thank you. So, I would like to now this is a very eminent panel, and their CVs are already in the pamphlet circulated or in the kit. Therefore, I need not to say much about them. I would now request them to speak for 8 to 10 minutes. I would first request Professor Balaji Parsarthi, Center for International Information Technology and Public Policy, IIT Bangalore. Floor is yours.
Yeah. Good morning, Professor Mohanty, and good morning to everybody here, and thanks to Nalanda University and Professor Sachin Chaturvedi for this opportunity to share a few ideas on the nature of research collaborations that we could look forward to in the years ahead. I'm going to take the perspective of an economic geographer who has interest in technology. And I'm going to take a very particular lens because there are so many areas of cooperation that we can well imagine. But I'm going to take the lens of looking at what development sociologists, development economists call late industrialization, where you catch up once you know you're behind, and then you attempt to sort of reach the frontiers of that technology, right? And I want to particularly take the information technology industry, especially the semiconductor industry, which really lies at what we call the heart of the third and fourth industrial revolutions. And use that as a means of looking at this question of research cooperation. One of the things that, at a personal level, I deeply admire the changes that have taken place in East Asia is that the center of gravity of the industry, of this whole process of change, has shifted quite a bit from North America and Europe, right? The leading nations in this industry today, which sort of is driving so much of economic change and social transformation, is now in East Asia, right? Of course, I will upfront say that, each of these countries has their own distinct histories and socioeconomic trajectories. So at the risk of generalization, I'm going to use the term East Asia, right? So let's sort of bear that in mind. And what we have is that they've been remarkably successful at this process of late industrialization. They've caught up. They're at the bleeding edge. Think of a Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, just as an example, right? So we do have these countries that have caught up, and they're exceptional in the sense so many other countries have not done anywhere as well in terms of bringing about either economic growth or the kinds of social equity that you see in these countries. And this is also, of course, what is sort of useful to bear in mind is that this has not happened in isolation. These countries have not done it on their own. What you have had over the last 40 or 50 years since the rise of the semiconductor and the information technology industry is that in the region, you have a very dense network of suppliers, a network of sort of global production chains, value chains, and these networks have proven immensely useful both in addressing changing demand conditions due to technology and to markets. As you know, I would like to sort of quote the sociologist Manuel Castells, where he says what he calls the flexible networks of variable geometry. So they're able to sort of constantly adapt to changing conditions of both technology and demand. Right? So that sort of presents us a sort of a kind of a remarkable case in the late 20th century of a change that we've witnessed. So with that in mind, what is it, with that sort of backdrop, what is it that we can sort of think about in terms of possibilities for collaboration across East Asia and India? And here I'd like to sort of raise three issues, right? Three points where I see opportunities for collaboration. First is the technology itself, right? I think there's a lot of potential that remains in sort of actually leading the changes in technology, because with the arrival of artificial intelligence, the new generation of chips that are required, for instance, that have left well-established companies like Intel far behind, and you have new companies that are sort of leading the drive. So there's no reason why we can't participate, and there's so much of capability here to create, so to be at least a part of this transformation, and this, no country is going to be able to do it on its own. We're going to have to come together to drive new technology. And there's another sort of aspect why this new technology must be driven collectively, because the industry today is not what it was like 20, 30 years ago, because semiconductor manufacture is the most toxic manufacturing process known to mankind. So we do need to think about sustainability, climate change. These are all issues we've been talking about over the last couple of days. So we also, a technological change can no longer be business as usual, but it has also got to be enormously sensitive to this only planet that we have and our collective well-being and the well-being of future generations. So we have to collaborate, I think, to figure out what it is that our technologies are going to look like. And again, one of the sort of the ironies of this is that while we may bemoan that technology has led to the current situation, we talk about industrial revolution, but I also think that there's no running with the fact that some of these solutions also lie in technology. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So we actually have to think about, while we're utilizing these technologies, how we also use them more responsibly, develop technologies that are more, have a soft or a lighter ecological footprint. So that's the point number one. The second area, I think, where we have is where there's a lot of research that is sort of required, is the whole organization of production. What we are seeing in the last, particularly in the last year, is the rupturing, or actually going back to the days of COVID, the rupturing of the original sort of supply chains, the production networks. So as these have ruptured, we have to sort of reconstitute these networks and production chains and value chains. And especially if you're talking about advancing new technologies, we have to ask the question, what kind of production networks, value chains do we actually need to have so that across this swath of from South Asia to East Asia, how is it that we can integrate, right, in order to sort of reconstitute a new geometry of production, right, for mutual benefit? That's the second one. The third is also the question of skills. Now, when you're talking about new technologies, when you're talking about a new organization of production, there's a question of who's actually going to fulfill those roles, right? If you go back to the 1970s, for instance, most of East Asia stepped into these production networks on the basis of providing low-skilled labor for low value-added production. Okay? But that's history. I think we have to move well beyond that. We have to think about alternate skills, not just in terms of low-cost skills. Not that they will necessarily go away, but what are the new sets of skills that are required? How do we address them? And who is it that who's going to sort of train that new generation in order to create the capabilities that we need for a technologically sensitive and an economically sort of enabling set of technologies, right? So that is sort of the one set of questions. There's also sort of an alternate sort of, there's another important reason why we have to think about skills. A lot of the recent debate on skills and jobs, I'm talking about the relationship between technological change and labor in general, is that, there's this sort of almost binary argument saying that, we're getting these new technologies, applications in AI and so on. We're all going to be losing jobs. We're all going to be sitting at home, left to do nothing, twiddling our thumbs. Or this is completely, this is other polar argument saying, no, we have all a bunch of new things that we can do, be creative. Nobody either defines what creativity means, nor do we know why is it that we all have to be sitting at home and idling, right? Part of the problem, I think, also comes from the fact that much of this research is done in advanced industrial economies like the US, in Germany, and so on. There's very little empirical evidence in terms of what is it that is even going to do to an economy, as poor as India, for instance, or sort of as diverse as India in terms of skill capabilities and literacies, etc. In fact, I recently did a study for the ILO, where, the things like robotics, which are very commonly spoken about, words that are thrown around, the adoption is very low in a country like India because the labor costs are so low. So, here in terms of just talking in terms of labor displacement doesn't mean a lot. I think it's more important to ask how can we enable our people with skills that are required in order to address these new challenges and these new opportunities. These are not necessarily challenges. These are new opportunities. If we are going to develop the technologies, if we are going to develop new methods and organizations of production across this continent, what are the kinds of skills that we need? And again, I would sort of hypothesize that this is not something that any country can do on its own, because different countries are going to be doing different, participating in this sort of technological change and the organization of production differently. So we do need to think about saying, what is it that India can do? What is it that Vietnam can do? Or what is it that Thailand can do? What kind of skills are required? How is it that, our universities at a place like Nalanda or any other place, what is it that it can offer to students coming from another country? What is it that students from India can, what is it that they can go and seek to learn in another country? So this ability to sort of think, spatially, and that's what geographers do, across this, across the continent in terms of technology, in terms of the organization of how this technology is going to be produced, and how these necessary skills and capabilities, the human capabilities, are going to be provided, I think are three big areas that universities have an active role to provide leadership and some kinds of answers to policy makers. Because a lot of policy making, I'm afraid, is sort of taking place in a bit of a vacuum simply because we don't have the research. A lot of it is hand waving. I'll be very candid here because I see some of the papers that are coming out and so on. So it's in that spirit that I would sort of offer these three areas for potential collaboration and research. Admittedly, this is I'm looking at it through a very specific lens, through looking at the key, the information technology industry. But I do think this is the dominant industry. This is going to not go away in the near future. And we need to think about sort of technological eminence, skill capabilities through this. A lot of other things, I'm not denying it, but in 10 minutes, I don't want to be able to, or want to claim to answer solutions to everything on this planet. Thank you. Let me stop here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you have touched upon very important issues related to IT transformation, how that would bring growth and equity to individual countries. You talked about development of network and GVC across the globe, and on that context you have presented three major issues. One is about the changing technology in the global economy, about new chips, semiconductors, and the solutions it is providing to the society. You have also referred to organization of production network and how that would integrate South Asia with that of Southeast Asia. And third point, you have emphasized on the high skill and labor and how to produce and how to make production of technology and also skills. So thanks. I would like to invite Dr. Deepak Kumar, Director, IDRBT, Hyderabad. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi and all the dignitaries across the South Asian countries. I will start where Professor Mohanty has said, and very rightly so, that how our trust should be built up in interdisciplinary, intercultural, and global approach, at least to start with East Asia. What he emphasizes, people-to-people collaboration that introduce trust, and research to policy, and then to implementation, adoption by the industry. Here, I will add further, Professor Patsarthi has told, new technology, where we are going, and what is its impact on SDG. Very rightly pointed that newer chip, GPU, requires a power guzzler. Prior to that, blockchain, power guzzler. How we are going to meet that, and what will be the impact. We have to see that whether technology is relevant to us, emphasize us, and how to adopt, keeping in view the SDG. Organizational rupturing, because this is very well-coined term, organizational rupturing, and that has started in a major way from COVID, when we started working from home, away from the office. And that led, and I presume, and based on other studies also, that led to fast development of Gen AI and AI tools, large language model. Because coders were coding at home, testers were testing at home, so a lot of mistakes, because there were no camaraderie, no common informal discussions. That led to a lot of bugs in the coding and testing. So the West emphasized that newer technology adoption of AI in primarily replacement of coding and replacement of testing, which is primarily more human resource oriented. So those AI adoption is not happening for deciphering our old scriptures, but deciphering the CAPTCHA, and reducing the job of coders and testers. So that's the new challenge for academia, industry, and the government as a whole. Because how we have to divert our attention from the existing teaching methodology, because subject is relevant, methodology has to change, because we don't know. In the inaugural keynote address, it was emphasized that what we don't know what the future generation after 10 years job would be look like. So in that case, what I feel that it's not just technology, it's a sociology, economics, logic, philosophy, ethics, culture, ancient culture, how it unites, and it is very common and very important element, parameter for development and adoption of AI, Gen AI and its different avatars. Because what are the requirement for wider adoption and impactful adoption of AI? Reserve Bank has recently come out with a framework, and that's called Free AI, framework for enabling ethical, framework for regulating ethical and enabling ethical AI. So free AI. So what is this based on? I will just, if I say that it's based on 7 sutras. Again, sutras word has been taken from Buddhist philosophy. So 7 sutras is trust is the foundation. Then people first. People, customers, as well as employee, and their dignity and well-being is the top priority in people. Innovation, but with restraint. So we do innovate, but restraint to adopt and absorb in our environment, in our context. Fairness and equity, very important, because that's why this economics, sociology, and culture is important for AI adoption, because fairness and equity requires economic impact, socio impact, political impact, and ethical strength to adopt the newer technology. Accountability and responsibility. Because here, when we talk about after AI, Gen AI, and agentic AI, the decision making is shifting to agentic AI. And if decision making after this generative AI, RAG, and all that, it introduced a lot of decision making. So there, in the physical world, the hierarchy for responsibility and accountability is well drafted. In this AI world also, it has to be well drafted, well documented, so that it can be fixed, and it should be explainable. Today, if some service is denied to any customer, the customer asks why I was denied, on what basis. Agentic AI may not be able to do that in first instance, but we have to enable that for adoption. Understandable by design, that's called. Then safety is the most important thing, to maintain the model. And again, this principle, again given by, there is 6 trust and 26 actionable recommendation. So 6 playbook, first is trust, then data, its governance, then model validation. Model validation is very, very important. Validation on continuous basis, because it may have inherent bias towards economic strata, towards sociological factor, towards gender, towards geographical boundaries. So model validation has to be there. Risk and management. If the decision making is done, as we manage the risk in otherwise, here also risk management has to be done. Most important is customer protection. So if this framework has been given, how to integrate in context of SAE. EAS is very important platform where we have very much similarity in our economic, social, ethical, ancient values and ethics. And requirement is also same, where the developing stage at the cusp of launching our development. So in this, how we should coordinate, because today coordination is very much essential. At one hand, we talk about self-reliance and self-this, but in vastly interconnected, interrelated, and intertwined world of through internet and other dependence on simple thing, database, OS, on global US dominated world, we have to be self-reliance as well as interconnected. That also we have to see, because the impact of this technological incident is across the boundary, like CrowdStrike, everybody would have heard. So it across sector, across boundary, it impacted. So we have to see that how in this dichotomy, that reliance as well as interconnectedness, dependence, not interconnected, but dependence on that. So how we can develop our something collaboratively, this AI, Gen AI model, RAG, that requires a lot of processing capacity, lot of power. So should every country develop that RAG or Gen AI model, or combined we can develop the model, and model can be used by different countries, different entities to generate or retrieve generated information, augmented generation. So that's the Gen AI, augmented generation. So how this model, because once model is developed, it can be used with lesser power, a lesser thing, with minor or required fine-tuning of the model. Unemployment, whether it will lead to unemployment or reskilling, that's the major thing everybody is talking. But World Economic Forum has given one report where it says that why we hear lot of retrenchment at major or big tech companies. They say that they have invested heavily for last 5 years in AI development and technology, but their contribution is the bottom line is not proportionate to the investment. So what is the way out? So the least provocative or least most easier target is, concluding. Most easier target is human, so retrench the human, increase the pink slip issuance. So based on that, later on we'll discuss. Thank you very much. And before that, just I will take 2 minutes, IDRBT role. IDRBT was established by Reserve Bank of India and rightly so on the philosophy of research, policy making and implementation. So this ecology, so IDRBT is responsible for adoption of and development of infrastructure for ATM, for net electronic fund transfer, real-time gross system, internet banking, mobile banking. So under the guidance of RBI and all that, so from research, policy was fine-tuned and implemented in a very smooth manner, and very adoption was very large. That's why we can claim today that India is #1 in the payment system. And we have 20 billion transactions in UPI every month. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak Kumar. You have highlighted about large language, particularly RAGI model, which is again very important in the sense that doesn't need coding or testing. The future generation is also very much into the process of adopting this new technology of AI. RBI has also started introducing free AI, even 7 sutras. So ultimately, your highlight has been that in a very disturbing global world, there is a need for self-reliance, and that should be highlighted. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Swarup Prasad Ghosh, Director, Maulana Azad Kalam Institute of South Asian Studies, Kolkata.
A very good morning to all of you. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, Revered Chair, ladies and gentlemen. We have had 2 erudite lectures in the morning. The deliberations were fine. But from the high heights of the concepts floated in this august house, from the practicalities we face in tackling education, administration related to the academic structure, there is a huge gap, and we should accept it. The amount of expenditure made in education, we all know. I don't want to go into details. There is neither the time, and it's not very authentic now. So from that high heights to the practicalities, with its multifarious diversities we have to come down to the point one of my earlier speaker told just now, Deepak ji, trust building. He started with it. Now how this trust and people-to-people contact will be? Only with AI? Only with technology transfer? Only with huge investment in skill development? I don't say this should not be done. Surely it should be done. But without understanding that the education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man, without developing it or elevating it to the state that education ultimately leads the beast in man to be a divine man, the efforts turns out to be just superficial. From this temple of learning, rather I will say the ancient temple of learning, which echoed years ago, this compassion in education. We want to build a counter narrative. I'm saying as far as the social science and humanities is concerned, rejecting the West, decolonializing the West, and having our Asian narrative. To be very frank, this narrative building, narrative fight, these contradictions conflict is at the heart of Western imperialist concepts. It was never in ancient concepts. Go to the ancient concepts of Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism. It was never there. Confucianism, Taoism, Shintoism, never there. We thrived for one thing, peace at the end, sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. But that is missing because that is not economically productive. Now when we say exploring collaborative research opportunities between universities from India to East Asia, we keep in touch with technology transfer, AI, because it creates an effect on our balance of payments and balance of trades. We keep in touch with supply chains because it is important for international positioning. We are interested to develop the skill in India because in comparison to East Asia, the skill development of the labor force in India is still in a state of nursery, if I am permitted to say so. And the structural changes needed in our economic world. We are interested corely in this. But what should be the mixture with this? This is the practicality. The mixture should be how through education and through curriculum we can understand the infinite within the finite. How we can come out of the apparent self and reach nearer to the real self. If we want to build a world of tolerance, non-violence, and of cooperation, which should be away from competition, these are needed. These are the words which should go deep into the heart. Deepakji told about ethics. It starts with morality. We say morals are the basis of ethics, and in Indian understanding, we say the substructure is spiritual on which the superstructure is secular. Without the spiritual substructure, the superstructure will collapse. As it is working in the West, it will work on us also. Asia should understand, as Rishi Aravinda said, that there is a difference between the soul of Europe and the soul of Asia. In the course of doing this collaboration, we should understand this Asian perspective of divinity hidden in each and all of us. Vigyan is always understood that it should add to profit maximization. It should add to surplus value. And at last we have seen that jobless growth has led us where? And now we want a knowledge society where it should assure equitable distribution of wealth. If there is hardcore crony capitalism, and you think of a system which is divine, you are just in an utopian state of your mind. Capitalism ensures imperialism, capitalism ensures crony capitalism, capitalism ensures corruption, capitalism ensures what the problems we are having in developing world today. And from there, where we want to go? We want to go to a state of integrated humanism, where we should understand the spirit of Vedanta. And from this perspective, in order to take forward with a mission to promote collaborative research, opportunities between universities from India and East Asia, it is crucial to understand government schemes, funding mechanisms, and priority areas for cooperation. India's present policy of acting with the East is a serious diplomatic and economic endeavors to strengthening ties with East and Southeast Asian nations, leading to several academic and research initiatives. I will here request, there are a number of countries from different parts of Asia in this conference, that the projects I have already told we are running in Machias. If you can send us names of your scholars who are interested to work on these projects, we will be benefited and we will communicate with them. I again repeat the name of the projects. Ramayan Circuit, Buddha Circuit, Brihattara Bharat Manashakhanda. If there are scholars in your countries who are interested to work, we will communicate with them and keep in touch with them. Nalanda University has started an Asian India network of universities which is well known to each and all of us, and we want to participate here as an institution. And I will request the Honorable Vice Chancellor that we should have a one-to-one meeting how we can work so that our scholars can take advantage of this scheme, because this will help us in our project works to a great extent. Now, I talked about the ecosystem. Do you think knowledge or do you think education's ultimate goal is to create an ecosystem? West has created an ecosystem. We know how the ecosystem works, how it distorts, how it tries to superimpose. We know all these things. How to counter it? Counter it in their way or counter it in our way? There should be a brainstorming. Because if there should be a cooperation, cooperation starts with sacrifice. This is the Indian understanding. Starts with accommodation. Collaboration starts not only on the basis of a win-win situation, which we discuss and debate every time in the seminars. It may be one of the perspective, but India and the East has always told cooperation starts with renunciation. Cooperation starts with the note that you know the art of leaving something for someone. I understand the art of leaving something for you. It is the starting point. Have we accepted it? We accepted it superficially. Has we accepted it from the core of our heart? We are all in the fag end of our academic careers. Have we been able to inject into our students? The answers are well known. I don't want to give the answers. We have to reach nearer to these answers. Education and collaboration cannot be devoid of spirituality. Our system says that it goes from Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manamaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh, Anandamaya Kosh. Vijnanamaya Kosh is accepted, but Vijnanamaya Kosh, through Vijnanamaya Kosh, it goes to Anandamaya Kosh. That's the basis of Indian knowledge system. We talk a lot about Indian knowledge system, the curricular of the Indian knowledge system. And when we go out of India, the curriculum of indigenous knowledge system, where we can unite together, is the basis of collaboration. Heart first has to accept, hand then comes to cooperate, head then formulates. If the heart doesn't beat, and we say sweet words in the conferences come and conferences go, we go back to our home and forget it. And we are all involved in our own interests. In this way, seminars after seminars we have attended throughout the life. At the fag end of the life, I find it is better to say the truth, because there are very short time left to say the truth. When the European civilization is in its infancy, our ancestors chanted Asatoma Sadgamayo Tamashoma Yotirgamayo Mriturva Mritangamayo. They chanted Purna Madang Purna Mridang Purnat Purna Mudachate Purnasha Purna Madaya Purnamiva Shishvate. Have we understood the inner meaning of these? Then the collaborations will succeed. There is a question of Indo-Pacific strategic dialogues. Now I am very happy that this terminology has changed from
1 minute.
1 minute, right. Indo-Pacific from Asia-Pacific. Now I end it with another proposal, that when we were in the classrooms, many of us, we used to know this subcontinent as an Indian subcontinent, not South Asian subcontinent. It was known always from Gandhara to Lanka, this entire Jamphugdeva as the Indian subcontinent, Bharat Varsha, Bharatiya Upamahadesh. This was the terminologies it was used. Now we use it as South Asia, as Indo-Pacific from Asia-Pacific. South Asia should be again be termed as Indian subcontinent, which was the original terminology. I am not superimposing any terminology. This changes will practically take us back to the starting point of Asian understanding. These are the terminologies thrust on us by the Europeans. We have to come out of these European terminologies and erect the Asian vertical. And if we can, then the collaborations will succeed. If we cannot, let us try again. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Swarup Prasad Ghosh. Very interesting presentation you have started that how to build people-to-people contact, and the best way of doing it to have Asian narrative, which is somewhat based on the teachings of different regions stemming from the continent. You have also emphasized on certain issues, including that of supply chains, skill development, and the linkages between ethics and morality. You have highlighted about the integrated humanism. Thank you very much. I would like to invite the next speaker, Dr. Saibyan Pon As, Deputy Head of Research Promotion Division, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Sports, Laupedia.
Thank you, sir. Chair, co-chair, Vice Chancellor, distinguished participant, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Nalanda University to give the good opportunity to give us to present about the collaborative research opportunity between university from India and East Asia or ASEAN country, especially Laos. So, Ministry of Education and Sports of Laos PDR, especially Department of Higher Education, plays a role in developing research policy and strategic allocating the fund and monitoring impacting and evaluating the research activity and university. So I have 5 key discussions today to share with you. The first one, identifying the joint research priority between India University and Lao universities. The sustainable agriculture. We know both are our both country to rally to heavily on agriculture. Research and area like climate resilient crops, soil health, water management, and organic farming could benefit both. India's extensive experience in agricultural research and Laos is interest in sustainable labor practice and can be combined. Climate change and environmental to conservation. 3 professors to mention that. About with Laos rich biodiversity and India's ongoing to climate adaptation. Research or collaborative project could focus on deforestation, ecosystem, restoration, and reducing environmental impact from human activity. Healthcare and disease control. Tropical disease like malaria, dengue, and tuberculosis are common across South and Southeast Asia. Joint research could focus on healthcare, infrastructure, disease prevention, and development of the vaccine or treatment. About cultural study and heritage presentation. To exploring the shared historical theme, cultural exchange, and traditional knowledge can help both nations preserve their legacy and with promoting tourism and culture diplomacy. Vice Chancellor used a few days in Laos. I think he knows well about Laos. And then the renewable energy and green technology. Professor Bharati mentioned that. Like both countries are investing in sustainable energy solution, joint research into solar, wind, and hydropower. Technology could significantly to impact their energy infrastructure. About the promoting multidisciplinary and applied research collaboration, the cross-department or collaborations encourage collaboration across departments within universities such as engineering, social science, environmental, and public health, so that students and researchers can approach issue from multi angles. Joint research team. The great joint research team with faculty and students from both Indian and Laos institutions. These teams can combine the expertise in different areas, such as health professionals, working with environmental scientists to study and health effect of air pollution, and for example. Industry and partnership. The collaborative with local business and government agency to create research with direct societal benefits. For the instance, architects startup in India and Laos could work with the university to research new farming technology, technique, and enhance the productivity while reduce environmental impact. Innovation lab. We should create the research in collaboration with the student and faculty from both countries can jointly to develop prototype of the model that can be tested in real-world existing. The Shared Research Center. We know now in ASEAN countries we have ACI, ASEAN Scientific Index, especially Thai, TCI, Vietnam VCI, or Singapore also Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar. We have. So, both India and Laos, while in interdisciplinary team, can focus on high impact projects in this center. Also acts an incubator for the startup and other entrepreneurial initiative. For the regional cooperation network, develop the network connecting to the university and research institutions across India and Laos to facilitate data sharing, collaborative project and joint funding initiatives. This could be the model to after innovation, cruiser and country like the US or Singapore. The student and faculty mobility program develop robust student exchange and faculty mobility program, where researchers and students can work in different environments, bring a fresh perspective, and learn the new method in technology. The cooperative lab share the laboratory space with the cutting edge equipment and facility, work in reduce the burden of the individual institution, investing in high cost technology. These facilities could be jointly funded and managed. For the centralized access, especially ONOS, to all university and research institutions across India to access academic journal through the single subscription. This model can be replicated in Laos by creating centralized digital platform that provides access to important journal and database.
One minute.
For the cost efficiency, the extent of each institution subscribing and individually and shared national subscription model could reduce the cost for the Laos university and allowing them to access more research material and journal. So the presentation finished, so I am sincerely to hope that the suggestions made of this meeting will serve as an important guideline for further to develop and enhancing of cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asa. You have really put the roadmap of the future collaboration between India and Asian countries. You have put things in two phases. One, what are the issues to be covered? Issues in the areas of basic needs in agriculture, social development, in many areas. And also you have tried to highlight that what should we do in terms of developing a kind of mechanism to ensure that the collaboration is happening. So thank you very much. I would now request Dr. Brunda Lai, Assistant Professor, School of Buddhist Studies, Philosophy and Comparative Religions, Nalanda University.
PowerPoint, please. Respected Professor Chaturvedi, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected Professor Mohanty, and respected co-chair Mr. Kong Chan Mo. I take off from everybody's topic this morning, just too much about IT and also high technology and also the ethical. I just share with you this PowerPoint first, and then I will come back to the topic that we all discussed about, and I have a purpose for it. Last summer in June, I visited two places, Luy Lâu and Oc Eo. Luy Lâu is in North Vietnam and is sharing the border with China, whereas Oc Eo was under the Phu Nan Kingdom, which share the border with the Cambodia. And these two places are the culture exchange and trading hub since the ancient times. It could be from 3rd century BC all the way until the 7th century CE. Next slide. So you see the map that I mapped up there is the left side is the Luy Lâu, and Vietnam used to be called a Yao Châu, and that is the place near the coast, and we see a lot of artifact and also the art remaining there. And the map on the left side is the south, and you will see that the large dot up on the upper left, there is a dot called Oc Eo, and that's where they share the border with the Cambodia. And if you look at the map, you will see that these two centers near the river, especially Luy Lâu is near the Yao River, whereas Oc Eo near the delta, Mekong Delta. So it's become the hub for the trading between the India and also Southeast Asian, especially Java, Malaysia, Singapore, back then in the ancient time, travel to come here for the trading. And then the trading is not only for trading, but it's also part of the inter-religious culture exchange as well. Next slide, please. So this is the Yao temple that I visited. And since that so many years, people thought that this is a place that so much influenced by Chinese culture. But if you, because of the roof is so much like Chinese influence, like, the curve from the foretop. And they have the stupa in the center behind the main structure. And that is the stupa that built according to mandala, because they have 4 doors. And in the center is way high up. And there's one writer wrote about this, and this is much influenced by the Indian Buddhism and also Indian Hinduism as well. In front of the stupa, there is a ship, and a lot of people did not question about this. And when I enter and say, how come there is a ship? And this ship, you see, in Vietnam, we don't have ship. Because ship is actually ship, also elephant coming from India. And so that's why no one wrote about this either. And this is one of the art that adopted from Indian philosophy and also culture and teaching. And this one is not been addressed at all. So I took a picture and I shared with some of my friend who is also the teacher, faculty in the university in Hanoi. And so they took a picture and they were so fascinated because they never thought about this before. So with my fundamental, I'm not majoring in Buddhist or Hindu art or archaeological, but then at least with my very, very fundamental, I still able to recognize. But this is telling us that Vietnam, after independence, not many people look into the archaeological and also study about the Indian art that is existent inside this temple. Next PowerPoint slide, please. Yeah, and then interestingly, I went to inside the temple, And there was a prohibited area, and I was not able to get in. But luckily that my friend professor, he asked one of the local heritage keeper, and this gentleman has been keep this monument from generation after generation, that's passing down to his generation. So he able to open the door and then let me go in. And this is very high, tall ceiling, and there was the rock that all the way on the top of the roof. And from that, you will see that then I say that, what is that? That looks like a tail. And then if you look sideways, then you will see the head at the other end, it was a lion. Then I told myself, it looked like Makara. So then I went back and I looked into my book that I used to learn before at the fundamental level. Then it was a Makara, which is not been addressed in this Lilau temple. Next one. And then I look up all the way on the top again, the top of the roof, very high. It's about 30 meters tall. And my camera is not my digital mobile phone. The camera is not that good. So I took the picture, but it's not clear enough. If you look at the two corners, and you will see that is the Dwapala, because they're two hands and supporting the post top. Then I asked the keeper, I said, do you know what is this? And he said he didn't know. And I said, anybody come here and do research on it? He said no. And I asked how long this one? He said most of the pillar and the roof has been changed, but the major posts that support is still original, and also those are the rock that was the original. And how long this rock, how old are this rock, we don't really know. So that's, then he was so surprised and he was so happy, and I say, we have so many art that remaining inside the temple, even though outside look very much Chinese, but inside is Indian art that been reserved. Next PowerPoint, please. Okay, and 224 last year, just lately, November 224, just found the boat. And this boat, they're still learning and don't know where it's coming from. And they learned that this is not from Vietnam or China, because the Vietnam and China, that they are the raft, not the boat like this. So they assume that this could be from the Southeast Asia or also from India. So what is, move on next one, following next. Down, next slide, down, further down. Next, next. And move on to the next one again. Now we move on to the Funan, next one. And we found also if we look at the further left, and we see that the rock inscription. And the rock inscription, the next PowerPoint slide, please. And this is the closest picture that I read. And they still have so many rock inscriptions like this was unable to be interpreted or translated. And if we would like to translate all of this one, we need the Indian scholar who can read the ancient Sanskrit. And because this kind of inscription, there are two languages. One is ancient Sanskrit and one is ancient Cambodian language. So that's why in order to interpret all of this inscription, we need two special expertise scholars that who can translate the Sanskrit, the ancient Sanskrit, and also the people who can translate the Cambodian ancient language as well. And then they have to communicate in English and then bring out the interpretation. What's my point here is that these are the evidence that India and Southeast Asia have a close connection between each other. And not only now that we touch on the part about Southeast Asian study, but then to reviving all of this interconnection through culture, through trading, we need interdisciplinary cooperation. the digital that need to read this, and then after this one has been read by expertise individual, then how can we reserve this? Because eventually we all die, right? And then eventually, who will read this in the future? In the future, how can the young generation, when they do the excavation, how can they read the new excavation? So we need to, I just give you this very practical example. So then I ask all the high-tech expertise individual can create the program. Now we have to initiate to do all this translation, but then we also need to reserve the technique, how to reserve the technique that the young generation later on when they do the excavation, then they can read this kind of inscription later on. Otherwise, it all will be lost in the future. And that's how I conclude my finding. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Bindale. Very interesting presentation. You have made good depictions of archaeological evidences from different countries. Very nice, good work. So with this, I hand over to Mr. Kuang Chan Meng to take a couple of questions from the floor and also conclude. Thank you.
Good morning, and firstly I would like to say that it has been a very insightful visit for myself. This is my first time to this part of India. I've been to other parts of India, and there's so much diversity across the country. And I really thank Vice Chancellor and colleagues of Nalanda University for the great hospitality for these 3 days that myself and my colleague has been here. So perhaps before I give some of my remarks, may I ask if there are any comments or questions from anyone in the room?
Yeah. May I, sir? May I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, thank you so much, Chair and the panelists. During the discussion, there was more emphasis on technology innovation. But if we take into consideration Southeast Asia, particularly, the 15% of the tropical forests are in Southeast Asia, and they drive the poverty rate. The people living in the Southeast Asia, particularly in the Southeast Asia, are mostly in the rural settings, and their dependencies are more on the forest resources. So technology innovation is all right, but I think we should also look into the epistemology or the situated knowledge and then put them into the policy discourse. One thing. The second thing is the colleague from Timor-Leste and Laos. The poverty rate in Laos, it is more than 41%. Considering Timor, it is 41%. And if you take into consideration the malnutrition across Southeast Asia, it's more than 7.3. If we take the whole population into consideration. So we need to also look into the research that are taking into consideration the alternative, as Honorable Vice Chancellor yesterday highlighted, the alternative mechanism in the agricultural systems, agroecological principles, agroforestry principles, that also needs to be taken into consideration when we talk about the research discourses across the Southeast Asia, because we face the most pressing challenge, that is poverty and hunger. The other point is that we already have, IUCN has an exchange program between the Southeast Asia considering minor forest produce. Minor forest produces are the, if we take India into consideration, are more than 70% population have some dependencies on minor forest products. So this has to be taken into consideration when we talk about the research collaboration across Southeast Asia, because we have the similar issues across Southeast Asia. So this is something that I wanted to put across. Considering the research that we conduct here at Nalanda University, we have our school, my colleague Dr. Anand is there. Nobody talked about water when we were discussing the research collaborations. He works on water, and it's one of the pressing issues that we need to take into consideration, the clean and safe drinking water. And the research that we conduct, or the institutions across the Southeast Asia conduct, should be exchanged. And last year we conducted a research already with Bhutan students regarding the gender disparity in the forest conservation policies, because we need to see how gender embeddedness and balance is there in the conservation policies. We could see that only 2 policies from 60 to 2018, there has been a discrimination of the gender balance in the forest conservation policies alone. It was a test case, it's also published. So we need to look into all these facets while we talk about technology transfer innovation, but the indigenous knowledge, the situated knowledge, or the epistemology has to be taken into consideration when we talk about the research collaborations across Southeast Asia. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. I must congratulate the panel. Extremely interesting presentations by all the panelists. I wanted to make 3 points very quickly. First and foremost, I think both Dr. Deepak Kumar and Dr. Balaji both have very rightly pointed out opportunity for technology collaboration. And my idea would be in February this year, India is going to host Global AI Summit. And I would very much like to suggest ASEAN India University Network, I think Kishore, would be important for us to work closely with IDRBT and IIIT to co-host at least one conference before December to observe how our universities in the India-ASEAN partnership are looking at AI. What are the possibilities? What are the ways we look at University Connect of the AI Summit? We already had some meeting last week in Haridwar with faith leaders, but I think it would be important for technology people to come forward, and IDRBT is very well placed to articulate and present the 7 sutras and 16 principles that you talked about. So both Balaji and Dr. Deepak, I think congratulations to you. Second point is more with Dr. Suan Fansa, your presentation and your last slide on one nation, one subscription is a model which we would very much like to share with you. We already had one presentation mentioning and giving the details, Nalanda University, but also with Government of India. We would very much like to bring that up for practical implementation as part of this conference. So I think again my colleagues Dr. Kishore and team would like to take that forward, and now that request has come from Laos, but if there are any other countries from our neighborhood who are keen to have ONOS, we would like to take that forward. The third point that I want to mention is what Munir emphasized yesterday. Piantho, in your presentation, you talked about urbanization. Water is a big stress in urbanization. Our planning of water, our planning of rain harvesting or non-planning of rain harvesting, our usage of water, the technologies that are needed to minimize water usage and efficiently and effectively recycle it, they are something extremely important. Today I discussed with NUS colleagues about the possibility of such ecologically sensitive technologies to save our resources. If ASEAN India network of universities can focus on this, I would really like to urge water efficient technologies. If Singapore has some successful case studies to demonstrate, there are a couple of other countries in the world which have specialized in this technology area. Maybe next time, Kishore, we can invite ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. ISRO has developed technologies for low cost purification of water. I think we should get those technologies for our universities to absorb first at their own campuses, but also extend them to the municipal areas. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, I would like to add some remarks to the many excellent points that have been mentioned today. And I will go back to the point that our chair, Professor Mohanty, has made about how research can effectively inform policy making and industry. As we all know, this year, and I don't know for how long, the world is going through a lot of turbulence, and certainly for policy making and for industry, they need new ideas, they need new ways of not just devising policies and programs for economic progress, but also be able to effectively implement those changes. And research can do a lot to help policymakers and for the industry businesses. And to do that, we believe that amidst all challenges that we have, there are always opportunities, and we can focus a lot on the diversity across the region. When we form teams, project teams to address challenges, we often say that diversity in the project team is actually good because we can leverage the ideas, the differences in perspectives across the project team members. So although across our region in South Asia and East Asia, we have a lot of diversity, it seems challenging to address the different differences in cultural, language, religious considerations. But therein also lies this uniqueness that what it means is that the best people to address the challenges of our region are actually found in us, that we know our region best. Aspects such as water, that was just mentioned this morning. Water is both a boon and a bane across our region. Water brings many benefits, but water also brings many challenges. And it's how we harness all these potential benefits. And there's so much that we can share across our region. And of course, the discussions on technology and how to balance that with what we might say, the hardware with the hardware, what is in our heart, and to ensure that we can implement progress effectively. In Singapore, I'll just briefly mention, we look at some of the national challenges, and we use that to drive a lot of our research agenda, and also translate research into effective adoption through training, skills development, industry development, and policy making. We have, over the last 5 years, we have identified 4 pillars in the National Research Agenda. One pillar is on manufacturing, trade, and connectivity. So that includes all the supply chain challenges that we talk about. Another pillar is on health and human potential, which again, this morning we have addressed as a big area for research. A third area is on sustainability and urban solutions. And I think across our region, there's a lot that we can share in terms of sustainable practices and how we can jointly address some of the challenges. The fourth pillar, which is no surprise, is about smart nation and digital economy. We have a lot of discussion this morning on technology and how technology can effectively help us in all disciplines, including what Dr. Brenda has also mentioned, to preserve heritage and understanding of history for many future generations to come. So with that, if I may, I'd like to close this session on behalf of Professor Mohanty and our panelists. And I thank you all very much for listening, and we hope that this will be the beginning of a lot of research collaboration across our countries. Thank you very much.
We would like to move forward with the felicitation. So I would like to invite Professor Godavarish Mishra, Dean of School SBS PCR, to facilitate respected chair, Professor S.K. Mohanty ji. We would like to request the chairperson to felicitate all the speakers as well. Respected Professor. Yes, sir. First, we have Professor Balaji Parathasarthi. Dr. Deepak Kumar. Dr. Saru Prasad Ghosh. Dr. Swan Foon Asa. Dr. Bendale. I thank everyone for joining this session and for enthusiastically participating in this. We'll be moving on forward with the Nalanda special session.
Himanshi, start.
Sir, I would like to request you to,
Sir,
Professor, sir, I would also like to
please
request
settle
you-
down. We are starting with the Nalanda special session without break.
We also have to facilitate.
Thank you so much, respected speakers, for such a comprehensive discussion on navigating the potential arena of research opportunities that lies at the heart of the giant Asian cluster, a vision for knowledge translating into tangible skills. Taking forward such intensive and productive discussion, we would now have a short Nalanda panel on research collaboration chaired by our esteemed guest professor, Pradanta Jaipong from Chiang Mai University, Thailand. The speakers for the session are our respected faculty members of Nalanda fraternity. We have with us on the panel Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Chaturvedi, Associate Professor, School of Historical Studies and Deputy Dean of School of International Relations and Peace Studies, Dr. Amita Satyal, Associate Professor, School of Historical Studies, Dr. Satya Narayan Shastri, Associate Professor and Acting Dean, School of Ecology and Environmental Studies, Dr. Anand Kumar, Assistant Professor, School of Management Studies, Dr. Pooja Dabral, Assistant Professor, School of Buddhist Studies, Philosophy and Comparative Religion, and School of Language, Literature and Humanities, and Dr. Tosha Banta Pradhan, Teaching Fellow, School of Historical Studies. So I would now like to request our chair to please commence the session.
Thank you very much. So good morning, everyone, leaders from across the world. No university can achieve sustainability alone, right? So that this is why we have this ASEAN Indian Network of Universities, or AINU, right? So so this is very important, and this is why this AINU bring us today together here to share, even for like collaboration on research and learning together in the spirits of SDG 17, right? So partnerships for the goals remind us that collaboration is the pathway for the real world impact, right? So today we have only 30-minute sessions. We have 5 speakers, so I would like to remind our speakers that we have only 4 minutes each, right? So then we can save few minutes at the end for the floor to discuss. Let's begin with Dr. Rajiv Rajan Chaturvedi, right? To begin first, please.
Thank you, Chair. So we have just 4 minutes, so I'll right away start. So we are talking about collaborations, and we are representing Nalanda panel. So at the heart of the Nalanda tradition were values that still feels close to us: curiosity, compassion, and transformative power of knowledge. Today, perhaps these principles, these values matter even more. Nalanda, which is world's first residential university, a global knowledge center, very true in sense of international university and very much interdisciplinary, a very diverse curriculum with rigorous academic standard and its amazing library which everyone refers to. Nalanda is a profound testimony of India's philosophical roots. India was never closed or insular. It welcomed foreigners, supported cultural exchange, and spread knowledge beyond its border. So with this backdrop, I want to propose 3 points for consideration. We heard from the previous panel different areas of collaboration. So first, we are talking about East Asia Summit region, Southeast Asia, East Asia, where we are looking for collaboration. So I propose to take a customized approach, because we are talking about a region which is one of the most diverse region on the planet. So level of development in each country is different. Their preferences are different. Their priorities are different. The level of, so we heard like in the previous session, Dr. Munir made points about different issues, whether you look at water or poverty or other standard. Level of forestation. So that requires understanding of each and specific country, their need, their priorities. So one size fits all will not be sufficient. So we need to have customized approach towards collaborations. That is first important point I want to make. Second, we also need to understand what those countries have to offer to us. We are looking for that these are the solutions we are having, we can offer to all of those countries. So we share our strength, but we also need to understand what is the strength of those countries. It is very important, and then we can match that, where we will come to a point where we will find synergy between our efforts. There was reference to, a couple of reference to Singapore, water management or urbanization process. Similarly, if we look at customized, like I mentioned the previous point, where it's very important. So if we are going to Vietnam, they are looking for, there are several India Studies Center coming up there, or in other countries in East Asia region, India Studies Center are coming up. When we talk about India, are they going to research about science, about artificial intelligence, or about what Brenda pointed out about cultural exchange and influence of each other in each country? So we need to have very close collaborations to understand that what we are offering to those countries and what they have to offer to us, to understand their strength. And third point is on participation. That is also very important. Nalanda is again a model where you have locally, you are engaging community and bringing them, you are engaging youths to make the mainstream, and I'll appreciate the efforts taken by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, where not only Nalanda is doing hardcore research or teaching, but simultaneously, like as soon as he resumed charge, he started Sahbhagita Sambad, where he mapped that what the local community has, what are their strengths, and how that can be scaled. So from local to make it global and to engage, to contribute towards the society. So that approach is something Nalanda can contribute in terms of research and engaging them. So participation, where focus on teamwork and engaging youths as well as experienced people is important when we look for collaborations. All these are very, very important aspects. I want to conclude by saying that curiosity without fear, dialogue without suspicion, and clarity without aggression could be the beginning of a steadier path built on understanding and mutual respect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, I would like to invite Professor Chai from National University of Singapore.
Thank you very much, Chair. First and foremost, I want to echo and repeat what many colleagues have said. My colleague Chan Ming and I, we are very honored to be here. I like to see many of the discussion that we have and going to have at seeds for future collaborations. But as you probably know, not all seeds lead to immediate germinalization. Some may happen, some may not happen. Some may happen in the future when all the ingredients and the necessary water, soil, and sun come together. Okay, and I think we certainly welcome collaborations with all of you. Okay, and I think we will work towards that. And but we should also be realistic that and be prepared to adapt along the way. I think there will be challenges that for some reasons things might not go as fast or as smoothly as we like. But I think what we need to recognize that today what we are doing here is we are doing the very first step. We are planting the seeds, and in time will come, all the seeds will grow to the giant Bodhi trees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll invite next Dr. Amita Chanyel.
I will be taking the next 4 minutes to do two things. One, I will bring some learnings from Nalanda's past and what can help make knowledge networks resilient. And second, I will propose collaborations. All this will be really quick. So let me start with the question that I thought of asking. What can we learn about resilient learning institutions from the lens of interconnections and Nalanda? Now, there are 4 key learnings in the way I synthesize Nalanda's past. The first is the establishment of dynamic learning contexts. And there was an entire and diverse range of strengths that including inclusion, curricula, pedagogy, dialogue, debate, philosophy, assessment, and so on. So that is the first critical component of what I would think a resilient learning network is. Second, establishing a community of scholars and schools. Third, repeated and regular interactions. And fourth, knowledge as cultural currency. And the fourth point, which I just want to bring to everyone's attention, is how knowledge, and particularly Nalanda's proven record of producing brilliance, lent it an authenticity and trust across these networks. And so that could effectively be also a leverage point for the present. The 3 areas in which we can think of collaborations is first, develop common curricular frameworks so that we also not only teach across with our strengths, but also develop a body of young scholars that can circulate in this space a little bit in greater ease than what they do today. And the second, my second set of recommendations concerns particular courses and research areas. My first, which has already been articulated by Dr. Munir and Dr. Anand, my colleague, will be actually speaking more to that. Environmental history and viewing history as an ecology of relationships. The second area that I think would be worthwhile is to have research areas and courses on medicine. And there are fascinating insights on how movements of plants, animals, and humans not only created possibilities of new disease, but also healing traditions circulated. Then, mindfulness in education, and Nalanda would be the best place to do that. How can we bring mindfulness to educational curricula, teaching, and research? And finally, new data. Now, in order to ask new questions, new data, and I want to speak to just for half a minute about AI. And in October 2023 in Italy, something unique happened, which is that a scroll that was burnt in the Vesuvius eruption was actually, AI was able to read that. So the damaged text, apart from undeciphered text, can also be read by deep learning neural networks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are doing really well in time. So next speaker, I would like to invite Dr. S.N. Shastri to give your opinion on this. Thank you. Please.
Namaskar and good morning to all of you. I am Associate Professor in School of Ecology and Environmental Sciences, deal with mainly hydrogeology, remote sensing, natural disaster. When I say natural disaster, I more believe in natural processes which are there. So, sorry. And now, if you see whole of the East Asia, much of the things which are very natural over there, either the forest cover, what Dr. Munir has said, area having a rainfall 2000 mm ranging to 12,000 mm. So hydrometeorological disasters there are natural. How much human being is going to add on to it, that is a different part of his story. Deforestation they did with the mangrove, which is the first line of defense in tsunami. It has only a vegetation has a capacity to rip off the velocity of the tsunami waves. So mangrove conservation is one thrust area. Second, when very high rainfall is there, then why there is a need of this much water management? Because of the basaltic formation of these archipelago islands, runoff is very high. I have worked in 9 years in Fiji Islands for groundwater exploration, and you might be aware of the very famous world brand Fiji water, which is there. So that water which percolate down with the basaltic rocks has a very high capability of silica content, which probably you will not get in any other brand. You can check it on the net. So rainwater harvesting coupled with the artificial recharge is one of the powerful solutions. When we talk about the industrialization, then we need to understand that cyclone, whole of the Indonesia, is stretching up to Timor, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu. All these South Pacific group of islands are highly vulnerable due to Mariana Trench and Hunter fracture to any kind of geohazard, including tsunami, including this one, hydrometeorological disaster like cyclone. So industrialization in those areas is something which limitation is there. We have to see the natural barriers. The moment we will try to break the natural barrier, inviting the disaster. Artificial intelligence has provided many strengthening point. Just I will conclude, 26th of December 2004, one of the strongest tsunami waves rocked whole of the Asia, East Asia. AI was not there at time, but natural intelligence was there at that time even. And even during the time of Lord Buddha. Those who were having the natural instinct, immediately they applied that the water is receding. And those who believe on that, they moved to the highland. And all the satellites, high resolution satellite I am talking about, infrared satellites, drones, and whatnot, the aerial vehicles as well, could not assess the movement of the sea. Temperature change doesn't come in tsunami. By the way, that most of the scientists attribute it to the global warming, climate change, temperature increasing. But that sea level rise in Asia is more because of the expansion of water in that region. It is a tropical nearby the equatorial region. So sea level rise, okay, one can shift from one place to another, but what you will do with the salt water intrusion in the groundwater body? These are some of the areas on which some of my students are working far away from here in Fiji Islands. But Singapore can help us in rainwater harvesting with good technology. Other countries which are there, they can also contribute, and research collaboration, one should come here, apply the knowledge on your ground. In your particular country, a split kind of research will give more strength. That is what all I want to say. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much. So next speaker will be Dr. Armand Kumar.
Good morning, everyone. I will be speaking about 4 points again, like I spoke yesterday. When we talk about South and Southeast Asia, not only our heritage, but also culture, heritage, and our religions. So we are common in terms of our cultural and other heritage. But in contemporary challenges also, we are very similar and very common. When we talk about contemporary challenges, for me, there are 4 key challenges. The first one is growing population. So we are probably the highest density areas across the globe. All right. The second is change in the climatic variables, the climate change impact. So what we are expecting in terms of the prediction of climate change, this area is going to be affected worst. The third is about, when I talk about these growing population, to provide sustainable livelihood to this population is another key challenge in front of us. Fourth, and the most important, is environmental issues. When I talk about environmental issues, environmental sustainability in particular, it is about exposure reduction to this community, which is more vulnerable. Some of the speakers in the last panel, they have talked about air, water, and soil quality. So I will be talking about these 4 points, and all of these points, the challenges which I'm trying to put forward, they are going to affect all the initiatives and policies which we are trying to take to advance our sustainable development in this region. At the School of Management Studies, we try to look for transferable models of sustainable development, where my colleague Dr. Munir used to work. It is his area of expertise, and he looks after that sustainable livelihood part. We also try to look for climate resilient agriculture and development. So that is another area which I think where there is opportunity to collaborate when it comes to South and Southeast Asian universities. The third, where I look more into, it is regarding the environmental sustainability. Shastri sir has already discussed about some of the dimensions of water, where he's more about the quantitative aspects. I look more into the quality aspect of it. And if you see again in South and Southeast Asia, providing the safe drinking water in terms of the quality is the biggest challenge. And it is going to affect our public health. Already there are multiple evidences. So not only through these advanced technologies, we are trying to simplify the technologies which can be applied on ground, which can immediately change the exposure condition of the community by just looking into that safe or unsafe condition of soil, water, and air. We can recommend the community where to drink the water, where not to drink the water. That is, these are few areas where I work. And we try to develop these low-cost technologies in terms of the kits, where we again try to apply citizen science approach, which I was trying to discuss yesterday. And the areas where we find more opportunities, more scientific evidences are required, we try to explore those areas with more scientific rigor studies. And we have been working in Punjab, we have been working in other part of Southeast Asia, including Bangladesh, and also in Bhutan and Vietnam. So all these areas are affected with groundwater qualities, Laos, Cambodia, and others. I know that there are issues, and we are trying to explore that how we can also pitch in there and make some impact on ground. All this should lead to an evidence-based policy framework, and this is where we are trying to look into. I will just add 1 minute, and I will take 30 seconds perhaps. That when I talk about simplification of science, it means that we need to put our words to the policymakers. And in these scientific words, it is perhaps not possible. I will give you one example. In 2018, we conducted a study, and then it was very well cited across the media houses. And it was, the question was asked into the Indian Parliament that why it is happening there, what are the measures you are going to take for this particular exposure. But in the next year, when we published very nice scientific paper, it was not even been cited anywhere, like apart from the peer group, the scientific group. So my idea is that whatever we are doing in terms of the research, it should give us that evidence on which the policy can be worked upon. With this, I will stop here. We are open to collaborate in any of these areas which is there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aman. So we have other two speakers. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Tosha Banta Pradhan.
Good morning to all the distinguished delegates, faculty members, and the students. So I am basically an archaeologist by training. And we know that archaeology deals with the material culture. And then we have a lot of cultural heritage that is lying, across the Asian countries. And there are many of these sites are there under maybe water. Some of the sites are there in the coastal areas. So we need actually to go the archaeological research beyond the boundary. Because here what we see is that, in the past there was no boundary. Like, we in political, boundary was not there at many places. And we are very well connected through the trade, through the cultural exchange, through knowledge exchange, through the religion, and also through the spiritual exchange. The first sector that I would like to actually highlight is on the maritime archaeology, because there are many shipwrecks are there underlying in the water. There are many coastal port sites are there. Those are never been excavated so far. So in these connections, we can do some joint project, joint archaeological survey that would actually highlight, as well as also bring out the cultural heritage of the ASEAN countries. There are many port sites, if I just say that, across the Indian Ocean region, also on the Bay of Bengal region. So few just to mention them is the Tamralipti in the case of the West Bengal, Mujris, Arikamedu, Kavaripatnam in the case of South India. And they are very well connected with many of the Southeast Asian countries. What Dr. Brindali, she has very rightly highlighted about the archaeological remains of some of the Indian origin that is found in Vietnam. So, but in these connections, same thing also we find it with the Indonesia, with other countries. So in these connections, it would be a great if you could highlight a project, or if you can conduct a joint research project, actually also the documentation project, particularly, documenting the Buddhist and the Hindu archaeological heritage. Then also, this is also the time of the digital age. We need to also embrace the digital archaeology, and in these connections, the artificial intelligence is very important. So artificial intelligence it is actually helping us in terms of reconstructing the sites, forts, or maybe the artifacts, objects. The another point that also need actually a lot more focus is also the 3D documentations of many of the objects that we find. Because many of the artifacts, antiquities are there underlying in the museums or maybe in the storehouses. That need to be documented so it can brought to light in front of the publics, maybe through by different digital medium. Another point I just would also like to highlight is that, during the prehistoric time, there is no, boundary, as I said. There are, we can trace back the human origins of the different countries, as well as also, beyond the boundary. So in this regard, there can be microware research, as well as also the huge-ware research of the lithic analysis can be done. Another one, the last one, I just finish it, is equally important area is the heritage conservations and the heritage management. We are actually having a lot of stress on many of the heritage sites because of urbanizations, because of climate change. So these are need to be, highlights jointly. So if we are protecting our past, actually this is also in a way we're investing in the common future. This is my submissions. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you so much. So our last speaker will be Dr. Pooja Debro.
Thank you very much, sir. Can I have the slides, please? Yes. I start my stopwatch. Okay, so I think what the conference, yesterday Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir was asking me about the feedback about the conference, and I said the content has been exceptionally good. It was a great learning for myself, and the whole idea of SDG having the 17 goals. And during the preparation of the conferences, I think we all were reading and comparing the MDGs and the SDGs. And there was a great learning for myself that SDG has been exceptionally, I would say it's a great success for SDG when I saw that how integrated it was, and how, as Sir has already mentioned, it was very, very qualitative, integrated, and also it included multi-dimensions. But still the question remains, where did we go wrong? So I think I will take from Professor Deepak Kumar Sir. He said that Buddha taught self-reliance and interconnectedness. They seem to be two dichotomous concepts. But then Arya Nagarjuna, a great master from Nalanda, he came and he united the two. He said that this is not dichotomous at all. We have to see that the self-reliance, the true reliance, is when you understand this self in the light of interconnectedness. You have to go beyond the idea of just the self. There is never going to be success of the SDGs if we just remain focused on the self, until unless we see the integrated approach. So I was thinking that just of now that we have conferences on SDGs, the goals, let's have in future some panels and conferences on sustainable development model created by East Asia and India together. And can I have the next slide, please? So this is what I was doing during the conference, that where are the similarities and where are the differences. Next slide, please. And as I said, I was very, very pleasantly surprised to see that SDG is very good. Now the ball is in our court that we implemented through using our brains. Next slide, please. So here I would like to read this. So there was a mention of the manuscripts, you know, burnt manuscript, lost manuscript, but there are available manuscripts. Let's zoom into the manuscripts from the Nalanda. It says, here he talks about the interconnected sustainable development in action. I would read it from his text known as Ratnavali. He said, always care extensively for places in the world that are oppressed or where crops have failed, that have suffered harm or where there is plague, or that have been conquered in war. Eliminate bandits from your own land and in other lands as well. Keep prices level and place the proper value on goods. And how to do that? Then the king, this text is actually offered to the king of Satvana dynasty when he asked that, how can I have ethics as well as practice of dharma while taking care of my kingdom and administration. So then he says, this dilemma can be solved when you read the last verse. It says, just as you pay attention to whatever you think will benefit you, so pay attention to what you think will benefit others. Can we have the next slide, please? So now on this initiative, Nalanda is doing East Asia, I would say East Asia's sustainable development model at all fronts, where Nalanda curriculum has cafeteria model and innovative courses, not only the cafeteria model where the multiple disciplines are mentioned, but many innovative courses where the two are brought together by the two different streams of professors. For example, Buddhist linguistics. We go from Saussure to C.S. Pierce to Ogden and Richard into Dharmakirti's linguistics. So we help students to see where linguistics can go further through the insight from the Nalanda master's text. We have eco-poetics, we have quantum physics and neuroscience collaborated with the Buddhist psychology and in Hindu psychology. Then the Nalanda library is a dedicated corners of all these Asian countries which are partnering with us. So, and then CARC and the Nalanda press that coming up is trying to not only collect the manuscripts where the list is included all the members who are sitting here, but also trying to zoom in into the manuscripts through having an AI technology of first coding a common language and then decoding it into the multiple languages for the users of the world. Sahbhagita Samvad, I would say it's not just local community engagement, it is localized global community engagement, where our global community, where the international students also go to the local parks, the nearby villages, and try to address the water management, other issues there. Then the net zero sustainable campus is the responsibility of every member of Nalanda fraternity. We have a dedicated cultural center where again all these students come together, MOUs and collaborative activities. I'm sure you will have one question that, okay, it is very easy for Nalanda where international students are there. Now I would say that let us think beyond. Let us see AINU network as one university and each university as one school sitting somewhere. So let's pay attention to the need of every student in all those universities in Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Japan, Korea, and see them as part of, so we have the opportunity to have international students here, but there where international students are not there, still regional students, but I would say if we think about, okay, what is needed by the student in Laos, as sir has mentioned, we need one nation, one subscription help. So that would be the, I would say, a sustainable development model, which is uniting the Nalanda and the East Asia Conclave Summit perspectives. On that note, I will submit. Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much. So thank you for the insightful information from all the speakers. We have few minutes now, so maybe I'll open to the floor. Speakers can also include what you have left off, but then also others participation in this room can comment or can, you know, give your feedbacks and things like that. Please.
Good morning. Just would like to highlight and give some observation. As myself, as ASEAN India Network of University Faculty Exchange Program Coordinator from Ubon Ratchathani University. At first, I don't know about this program, but once I coordinating this program, I feel that it's very important that people can get to know each other. Last year, we sent we have opportunity to send 2 professors from Thailand, one coming to Nalanda University and one to neighbor Guwahati. And they work closely with their Indian counterpart and professor in Indian University guidance. And we also have one professor from Nalanda University going to Ubon Ratchathani and one already visit him from neighbor Guwahati. They work on like herbal medicine for Alzheimer. They work for blue economy in the Bay of Bengal, and one work on industrial pharmaceutical industry. So these not only for research, but when they're coming to Thailand, I mean professor from India coming to Thailand, they can teach our students about culture. And once our professor from Thailand coming to Nalanda and even in Guwahati, they learn about culture, learn about new perspective and the way to look at in India in the new way, in the new direction. So the result of that, they are going to have the co-publication for research, maybe manuscript together. And there one student from my university, under the guidance from the visiting professor from India, they're trying to write a grant proposal to get the research funding from ASEAN India funding as well. And also, once they're coming to India, they try to get back to Thailand and talking with their counterparts about ecology of environment sitting here in Nalanda. And they talk to, she talked to our student, Professor Dr. Surisuda. She talked to our student, why not coming to Nalanda for future education, for higher education? That's what my observation. And I'm deeply appreciate that the INU foreign faculty exchange program can continue, and I think this will make more benefit for all of us. So make use of this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I would also like to include what Dr. Pianat mentions. Chiang Mai University, in collaboration with Nalanda University as, like the coordinator from Indian parts. So last year we also have Professor Dr. Naveen Sharma from, I think from Indira Gandhi National Tribal University here from India, to be in Chiang Mai for 4 months to study on algae and bacteria labs at biology department at Chiang Mai University. So Nalanda has been a really, well host and well coordinators, to connect researcher from India to ASEAN University. Thank you for that. Please.
I have a idea regarding Dr. Rajiv just talk about how what do we get from India if we have providing the knowledge to the Southeast Asia. What do we have? And I think this is not very visible that you will get. First, we need to provide the knowledge to the Southeast Asian first, and then you come there, you will see a lot. That what the trip that I have learned, that one of the resource area, they use the paddle boat to go around the cave, and that's what we learned from them, and that is part of the UNESCO. They don't use the motorboat. The number two, because it's secluded, and then they hard for them to transport the wood to reserve those heritage places. So they plant the jackfruit, because jackfruit wood is so strong and reserved for a long time. So they grow those the whole land with jackfruit. During the time they harvest, they eat the fruit or sell the fruit, but then they reserve the fruit, and once those heritage has been damaged over time, then they use that jackfruit tree to build, and then they keep it, and then that way help them to reserve the water inside the resources. Also that you have to think about this, like when you come to Vietnam or all the Southeast Asian, one scholar come, you can mobile the knowledge to 100 students over there. Whereas here, if we're sitting here, the nation just sent a few to Nalanda, right? And that's how we can share. And this student in the MA is it's going to take them 6 years to finish their program, and how much those knowledge can be revealed, through research and sharing. So exchanging the faculty and the student is the immediate that we need to have, like Dr. Tosapanta just said. All of this archaeological place that I visited was not been studied after the Vietnam been independent, because they have it done during the French time. But after independence, no scholars has learned about archaeology, and they rely on India so much because India have the ownership on the Sanskrit and archaeology, and then they also look up on India as a big brother to them. So in that sense, I think that it's invisible benefit you will get, not that we can see very easily at all. So that is what my idea to reply on his request.
Right. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Can I just put in 1 or 2 points?
Oh, sure.
Namaste. And what I just felt was, when we are talking about from different contexts, archaeology, environmental science, water harvesting, you are talking about the importance of knowledge sharing. I don't know whether we have an IKS system here, Indian knowledge systems, in this university. If not, it will be very important, especially with NEP on its way. I think Indian knowledge systems as a department will be a great initiative to start in Nalanda University, translating to the ASEAN countries. Because if you have, I have been working on traditional knowledge documentation for the past 30 years, 30, and basically Ayurveda. And what I found was immense knowledge, knowledge which are there at the grassroots. In all these ASEAN countries, we still have. But before it dies off, before it is gone forever, that is with the aged people, knowledge, experienced people, maybe they wouldn't have gone to even the first standard in formal schooling or anything, but they will have immense knowledge on boat building or climate changes. Somebody was talking about tsunami, mangrove conservation. I have experienced a lot from the uneducated people in my place, wherever I have gone, even to the tribal communities. So this, if it can be developed, it will, I think it will pave way for thousands of PhDs in every field, that whichever field you want to get it. So IKS, it can be indigenous knowledge systems of whichever ASEAN country, and of course IKS, Indian knowledge systems which are here, and codified systems like Ayurveda, Siddha, and Sovaripa. If you want to, in the Trans-Himalayan plain, it is there. So I think IKS will can form a good, ground for further research expansions in its way, and I think that will be very important, particularly for Nalanda to expand further. Ano bhadra kritavo entu vishwata.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Please.
So good morning, distinguished guests and delegates. So first of all, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the Nalanda University for accepting or giving the scholarship awards to our Myanmar students. There are altogether about 30 students in Nalanda University who are studying social sciences, and so as to come to terms with the joint research area, so I would like to suggest that we have MOUs with 22 countries, but I found the 4 MOUs with China, with the universities in Myanmar. Yeah, so I would like to suggest the joint research area for further collaboration. So we can also do with our university. So the suggested area will be the social sciences, also botany and microbiology, and then tropical diseases on health sector, such as yes. So let me request all the Nalanda University and the official consent is to actively confer such MOUs and to sign MOUs. We give the university the freedom to sign the university level. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Please.
I wanted to add a couple of points here about the nature of indigenous knowledge systems that Dr. Vinod Kumar brought up. One is that I want to connect it to a point I made about, I was talking about technology earlier. Unfortunately, there's a tendency to conflate technology with only what is at the bleeding edge, right? Technology also includes like the wonderful examples that Dr. Brinda gave about this sort of sharing of ideas between temples from India, architecture, sculpture, etc., from here to Vietnam and in other parts of the world. That represents technology of a different. So technology is not what is current, hottest, and latest. Technology is sort of knowledge that gets sort of crystallized around various facets of life. Right? It's been going on for a very long time. So in that sense, we shouldn't be taking a very narrow view of technology. So that's one. The second thing that I'd like to highlight is, I think one of the problems we face, and I'm talking about this as a person who hits the classroom on a regular basis, at least 3 times a week, to teach. The problem, when we do talk about this, how do we actually sort of marry what is often largely tacit knowledge with explicit codified knowledge? And that is something, it's a challenge that we face in the classroom. The issue is that I think one of the ways of sort of bringing this together is to create platforms that collect these. And here I'd like to give the example of the Honeybee network that Professor Anil Gupta at IIM Ahmedabad has put together. Now, that has certain issues of its own, but I think it was a very pioneering effort in order to collect various kinds of local practices, whether you call them culture, whether you call it technology, okay, to put together and sort of bring them together. The need to create that kind of a platform, such as the Honeybee network, I think is something that an institution like Nalanda can play. It can play a very, very active and useful role, where we bring together these traditional knowledges and indigenous knowledge systems, if that's the current term, so that we get a sense of how is it that we marry codified knowledge with tacit knowledge, and ensure that technologies are not limited to what we talk about today, but as a historical, we appreciate the historical lineage of technology in various facets of life. Thank you.
So with the course of time, maybe we only have 2 more people to give a opinion about this topic. Sure, please.
Yeah, from here I just say in IDRBT we can provide this student exchange program, faculty exchange program, and scholarship and fellowship as per local guidelines. So emerging technologies plus payment system where India is the leader, we can collaborate, help out in lab, in universities, or the industry, fintech, because I'm part of some fintech incubation center and other things. So again, there can be joint collaboration. And from this, again, I would like to say that I have also studied here in this district, Nalanda College, Bihar Sharif. And I knew that, visited that Rajgir cave where the first Buddhist council was again, and Mahaparinirvan. And that's the philosophy I also say, try to follow, but it's difficult, but Mahaparinirvan. That's the thing. Thank you. I will.
Thank you so much. Would you like to be the last person to conclude?
Thank you very much. I wanted to quote this statement from a joint press statement of the 4th East Asian Summit, I think, made on October 25, 2009. And in fact, that answers the debate which is happening here. And it says that Summit encourages the networking and collaboration between the Nalanda University and existing centers of excellence in East Asia Summit participating countries to build a community of learning where students, scholars, researchers, and academicians can work together, symbolizing the spirituality that unite the mankind. I think that is the mandate given to the East Asia Summit. So there are other different stream areas, and I think I agree with Dr. Pooja Davral that it is collaboration of minds. and functional linkages are to be established. And I appreciate the initiative just taken, how Nalanda University can take the lead. And we should not be arrogant that we will be providing knowledge to everyone. In fact, we have to be interactive. Where we have got strengths, we will work with other countries, but we should also learn from others. So I think that should be the Nalanda spirit. And through that, I think we can collaborate better. And you have to take initiative, because we talked about the Western dominance, but I think Western dominance can be curtailed if we Asians work together. Thank you very much. This was just.
Thank you. Please.
I would like to submit to what Dr. Vinod Kumar spoke. Our Buddhist studies and Hindu studies courses are designed in such a manner, it aligns with Indian knowledge system. 4 of our students have already passed UGC, JRF and NET examinations in IKS. This is this is something I wanted to submit. Second thing I wanted to submit what you told yesterday, very important. That is, like AI, what is the boon and bane of AI? AI is definitely killing natural intelligence. Now, I was working for a while now, whether we can scan, read manuscripts by using AI. And I have collaborated, I have worked on manuscripts, and I try to look at my friends around the world, Oxford, Heidelberg and Hamburg. And they say now that we have tried through this, but manuscripts are unreadable. Unless you have the knowledge of the subject, you cannot look at what word it is. It is a very important thing, but we are far behind. Not we, the whole world is to really look at the ancient knowledge through AI. AI has to modify itself for that. Another something I wanted to tell you, the whole agenda of the West, the white people, is to distort Asia. The Asia has been absolutely neglected. And one thing that started, where this negligence has started, is killing the maritime trade, which had, we had in Tamil Nadu, we have those who come from Tamil Nadu, no. Cholas, before Cholas, Sangam period we have. Where is that maritime trade? A few pirates came and destroyed the whole, sea surface. They took it, they owned it. You know how Vasco da Gama came out, Columbus came and all that. I don't want. High time that Asia must think as an academic unit. It should also be thought of as a philosophical unit, which is what we are doing with the help of our Vice Chancellor. We have started a philosophy department where we will teach Asian philosophy. And I have done 3 seminars on Asian philosophy, and first book has already brought out. And this is the major thing that we should all look. And I want also to submit to this August Assembly, however much difference of opinion we may have with China, philosophical, religious, cultural relation must be, thought of. It should be we should again think of bringing China to the fold of encouraging, augmenting the many traditions which have been worked together, and a laboratory for that was Nalanda University, where Huyen Sang and many others came and who are experimented on many things. Last submission, many of our texts are in China and Tibet. And we don't have the way to salvage those. High time that we all should think. Our Vice Chancellor is very supportive to in this direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I guess there's more opinions, more feedbacks that you guys like to share, but we have the following session after this. It's So the next topic will be creating pathway for student and faculties. So something if you still have, not share, then you can share for the following session also. I would like to also give small opinions about, research collaborations. I think we have to accept that it's not easy. Even within my university itself, we have about 2,500 researcher/faculty members. It's very hard for us to make these 2,000 people collaborate, especially research. Now we aim for very aspirations goal, that we want to have research collaboration across continents, across countries. I think, but it's not gravity problem that we have to just let it go, that we're not gonna success. I think today we start to discuss about what's happening and what should we do. I would also agree on your opinions on maybe we can start off from making information archive where we know exactly which university strength research on what fields. Otherwise we won't know, right? For example, I wouldn't know if Nalanda has very strong in terms of philosophies, in terms of, ecologies and things like that. When Thai people see India, we see, technology. We see robust AI and things like that. We wouldn't see if we can send our people for Nalanda because those words dominates everything, right? So perhaps maybe Nalanda as, coordinates of this AINU, we can start off from maybe archive, research topic or research strength from partner university. So that's something that we could do. We can also do online activities, where, maybe financial support will not be a lot of burdens to do this, or maybe we can use $0 to do this by having online activities where it's the place researcher can introduce themselves, what do they do, and looking for, partnership. I think that's something that could be done. If we aim for sending people one semester, that would be very long hope, we don't even know which topic we are going to collaborate. Maybe online, community, we can start doing so then people can start introduce themselves and looking for, partnership. Third, maybe we can also start it from alumni. I learned that, a lot of success case in terms of collaboration and student mobility were true from alumni. Maybe if we can, make a strong alumni relationship, then those are the voices, to echo or to collaborate, because for me, for example, so I still coordinate with my advisor. We still, worked, we still research together. I send my student back to, UIUC, where my student can do more research there as a part of student mobilities. And I myself also do research with my advisor. I mean, there's a lot of people graduated from India. For example, the Dean of Humanities at CMU, he graduated from India. Now he found, Indian Study Program and Center, where we take this, student mobilities very seriously, and we work with Consulate of India in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So that's the three things that I would suggest. At least we can start doing something right away, okay? And I would like to again thanks Nalanda University organizer and also all of the voices today, and that we contribute on how are we going to do research together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to thank all the respected speakers for your insightful views on taking research forward and emphasizing on resilient education network. We shall now commence with our fifth session titled Creating Pathways for Students and Faculty. This session aims to explore the immense potential for building robust academic bridges and fostering innovative ideas and guidance among the students and the faculties. Our distinguished speakers will illuminate the pathways for creating these synergistic collaborations for mutually scholarly advancement. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our chair and co-chair. Our session is being chaired by Professor N.R. Bhanumurthy, the Distinguished Director of the Madras School of Economics, a leading voice in macroeconomics and public finance. He previously served as the Vice Chancellor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar School of Economics at the University of Bangalore. Our co-chair, Professor Prathana Jaipong, Assistant to the President of Chiang Mai University, Thailand. He is a key strategist for advancing the UN Sustainable Goals development, and he is the founder of CMU School of Lifelong Education, a national hub for learning with a focus on aging societies and digital skills. Professor Jaipong is a powerful advocate for educational innovation and international collaboration. The respected chair is requested to open the session, while the respected co-chair is requested to conclude the session along with the Q&A. The panel has 4 distinguished speakers, and we request each speaker to kindly speak for about 8 to 10 minutes for their presentation. I would now like to invite our chair, Professor N.R. Bhanumurthy ji, to kindly commence the session.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. And I think we had a very good 2 sessions. Welcome to this session on creating pathways for student and faculty. In the previous session, I think there was so much discussion about collaborations and partnerships. I hope that discussion also will continue in the current session. With my co-chair, I welcome all the speakers. And this is a very important aspect of the whole conference, where we are looking at how we can collaborate between the higher education institutions in EAS countries. And since yesterday we've been discussing about how in Nalanda in the past has actually collaborated in a big way and was the first residential university in the world almost 16, 17 centuries back. And I think we also know that that collaboration has actually helped a lot of ideas and innovations, which has changed this world for a better place. And I think right now we are coming back to the same place of Nalanda, where we are trying to talk about collaborations and between these higher education institutions, what is the other better way than Nalanda to talk about it. As we also observed in the last couple of days, Nalanda has been doing these collaborations, and we have seen there are many students from many countries, almost 18 or 19 countries in the region, and I'm sure under Sachin's leadership, that collaboration will actually increase exponentially in the coming years. But I think when it comes to faculty, as all the faculty from Nalanda spoke, I think it's still a long way. I mean, we need to still look at how we can explore the interaction and collaboration between the faculty in the region. And there are some initiatives in India. I mean, I'm just trying to put up the initiatives in India so that the friends from East Asian countries can look at those options. We have an option of getting faculty members from outside the country in the institutions of eminence. I think there are few institutions of eminence. I think Nalanda is also recognized as institution of eminence, and where you can get faculty from outside and you have collaborations both physically as well as in terms of intellectual. And we also have Indian Council of Cultural Relations, where already we have exchange of students. And we also have something called Scholar in Residence. I think that is another topic, theme, that concept that has been developed in the recent period. And we had some discussion about national education policy yesterday, where under the national education policy, a lot of foreign collaborations are happening. And we also see that many foreign institutions are coming to country. But I think most of them are actually coming from West. I mean, as I made my point yesterday, I think we still get more from West. I think we should also look at, getting more, collaborations from the East and East Asian Asian countries. With that, this theme, this session is supposed to talk about mobility. There are 4 aspects that is being asked to cover in this theme. We talked about yesterday, I think Milindu talked about all of us, we work in silos. I think that is something which we need to break, and that is where we need to look at how we can have mobility across the subjects. In fact, national education policy talks about interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, and that actually gives much more space for mobility between the countries. And we talk about credit transfer. This is one thing which is very important for students. My generation has suffered, I'm sure all of the generations who are here, we really suffered even within the institution. You cannot go to different department. You cannot go to the neighboring department. And I think that is something that is broken right now. And we have something called academic bank of credit, where students are allowed to earn credits, not only from within the university, different departments, but also from outside the universities. And right, we are talking about getting credits outside the country also. Some of my students are already getting credits from outside the country. And the national education policy talks about getting 40% credits outside your own department. We talk about open learning and MOOCs that we say here. These are the institutional reforms that have been happening in the country right now for the past 5-6 years. And that gives a huge space for students to really collaborate with other countries. In terms of funding and scholarship, this is the major area for us, which actually looks at the equity and access that we talk about. Even yesterday we talked about equity and access, and that is something we need to look at how we can enhance the equity and access to all the scholars in this region. In terms of internships, cultural exchange, skill enhancement, this is another, I think a lot of work need to be done in this particular area. And one thing India is doing well in terms of, I think the previous session also talked about the digital public infrastructure. I think India become a pioneer. We have seen Deepak Kumar sir talking about it. I think that is it's become a public good, and India is willing to share. And like yesterday we have seen from influent person, we are willing to share that one nation, one subscription to other partners in the global south. And that kind of collaboration between the institutions is something will certainly make liberal arts that we talk about, liberal arts, enhance the liberal arts in this region. So with that, let me invite all of you for this session. I know most of the speakers are from India, but I also request the friends from East Asian countries to intervene and contribute to these deliberations. So let me, without much ado, can I request Dr. Arindam Mukherjee? Yeah, sir.
Thank you. Respected Chair, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues and students. Namaskar. It is both a privilege and a profound responsibility to speak on a subject that lies at the heart of our shared academic future, creating pathways for students and faculty mobility between India and East Asia. In an age defined by unprecedented interdependence, education must act not only as a ladder of personal progress, but also as a bridge of regional cooperation. And now here is this truer than in the dynamic landscape of East Asia, a region where traditions of spiritualism coexist with world-class laboratories in robotics, artificial intelligence, and sustainable energy. Any attempt to enhance students and faculty mobility must begin with a recognition of the diverse educational landscape of our region. East Asia is not a monolith. It stretches from the highly digitalized classrooms of Japan and Korea to the rapidly expanding higher education ecosystem of Asian nations, and it embraces India's own century-old universities now undergoing ambitious reforms under the new education policy. This diversity of languages, pedagogies, and the institutional priorities is both a challenge and an opportunity. It reminds us that any mobility program we design must be adaptive, context-sensitive, and respectful of local philosophical learnings. At the same time, it underscores our common aspiration, preparing graduates who are not only employable in global market, but also culturally grounded and socially responsible. For this session, our pathways for exchange must not be imposed as uniform templates, but rather imagined as flexible frameworks that respect diversity while nurturing shared excellence. The mechanics of the mobility require special attention, while enthusiasm among students to study abroad is palpable. Bureaucratic hurdles, mismatched credit system, and uneven recognition often obstruct their journeys. One promising solution is the establishment of East Asia Credit Transfer Accord, model on the you can follow, or we can talk about the Bologna process of European Union, which would harmonize credit recommendation among universities in East Asia, thereby streamlining student exchanges. At the same time, we must move beyond semester exchanges toward joint degree and dual diploma programs. In this context, it is equally important to ensure that exchange programs do not result in wasted years or delays in graduation. Students who travel abroad for a semester or a year should find their credits smoothly integrated into their home curriculum. To achieve this, we might identify a group of universities whose curriculum is aligned on board concepts and common learning goals. Courses completed at any of these institutions would be mutually accepted and recognized across the network, carrying equal value. This model of common East Asian course framework would guarantee academic continuity, prevent year losses, and build a more integrated regional higher education space. Faculty mobility is just as essential. Sabbatical exchanges, visiting professorships, and joint teaching modules must become institutionalized practices supported by regional funds. Importantly, these exchanges must not be confined to science and technology alone. The social sciences are equally vital in shaping our understanding of governance, society, and cultural identity. Mobility, however, must not remain confined to classrooms. It must extend to laboratories, field sites, archives, the think tanks, where collaborative research can tackle challenges that transcend borders. Climate resilience, pandemics, food security, and urban sustainability are issues that no nation can resolve alone. by pooling resources for joint centers of excellence and mega projects in artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and public health, universities across India and East Asia can lead regional innovation. To catalyze such collaboration, the launch of an East Asia Research Fellowship could fund multi-country terms of students and faculty. As we strengthen collaboration, we must also ask, can we move beyond importing Western epistemologies to create a uniquely East Asian knowledge system? Here, India has much to contribute. For our intellectual tradition, from Vedic mathematics to Ayurveda, to the philosophies embedded in Sanskrit texts, illustrate the power of indigenous knowledge system. An East Asian knowledge system built on our own methods, literature, philosophies can challenge the hegemony of Western thought. It requires us to think not in terms of the farthest, but nearest. A space intellectually close, historically connected, and culturally intertwined. In such a system, the distinction between idea and ideology, the methodologies of studying manuscripts, script, and languages, and the preservation techniques of ancient texts all acquire central importance. Yesterday we talked about this a lot. I believe that Nalanda University, with its historical reputation as a global crossroads of knowledge and its contemporary international partnerships, is equally placed to take leadership in this initiative. Reviving its legacy as a hub of collaborative learning would symbolize the renaissance of Asian knowledge tradition in the 21st century. As we build physical pathways for mobility, we must also bridge the digital divide that continues to limit opportunity. Here, digital mobility becomes as important physical movement. Just as important is the development of open education resources in East Asian languages, ensuring that benefits of cooperation do not remain confined to English-speaking elites but extend to all learners. Education is also a form of cultural diplomacy and a channel of soft power. Exchanges of students and faculty are powerful because they create human connections that statistics cannot capture. Expanding student ambassador scheme, where young people live with host families and engage in cultural immersion, would ensure that academic cooperation is enriched by human empathy. Collaborative curricula that within a minute or two. Integrate regional history, arts, and languages would strengthen these bonds. To encourage a vibrant and inclusive academic community, scholarship must play a larger role. ICCR have long provided scholarship for foreign students, but I was 5 years member of ICCR board. I know the scale and scope of such initiatives can be expanded. Distinguished colleagues, the pathway I have outlined are ambitious, but they are also a necessity. The story of the 21st century will be written not only by government and corporates only, but also by classroom, laboratories, and campuses. By creating robust pathways for students and faculty mobility between India and East Asia, we are not merely enhancing education, we are building the foundation of a regional community bound by knowledge, innovation, and shared humanity. In the end, mobility is not only about movement, it is about connection. And it is through connection that we shall shape a future of peace, prosperity, and progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So many institutional ideas that you have given. And so may I request Dr. Rajiv Nayan. 7 to 8 minutes, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I would like to thank Nalanda University, Vice Chancellor Professor Sachin Chaturvedi and his team for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to speak. So we discussed yesterday and today about so many issues. So today we have been given a very concrete task to how to concretize the collaboration, and already philosophical foundation has been laid down. So we have to move beyond that. So some of the issues which Chair had highlighted, like mobility, seamless academic mobility. If you see the problem, I think I first approach the problems, what we are facing here. Once we are talking about, I'll give some of my observations based on my own experience. I went to 2 countries under cultural exchange program, one to Japan and one to United States. And plus I also hosted some interns, and the problems I faced, especially relating to credit transfer and what are the issues. So I will be practical in my approach when I talk about it. So once we talk about mobility, we have all discussed that mobility across institutions, and the biggest problem comes when we are moving from research institute to university or university to research institute. And generally in India we have got 2 years sabbatical, but if we are going beyond that, how it will happen? So many times you will find problems, professors facing problems in research institutes. But it is, I'm sure it is across the world, and especially in East Asia countries. I talk to people. I was part of CISCAP, and this is again ASEAN Regional Forums thing, I worked in 3 of the working groups of our CISCAP. So there also we had experience, exchanged ideas and the problems they face about credit and everything. And second, what we are talking, breaking the silos. I think this has been one of the biggest problems which the world is also facing, a specialization to generality, one specialization to another specialization, where to bring the convergence. This is one big challenge. It is very easy to say that let us break the silos. I also advocate let us break the silos. But how to break the silos is a major issue. And how to work. You can break the silos, but there should not be anarchy. And that relates to the problem of credit transfers. So I have seen when I was a student of School of International Studies, forget about others. Even Center for Policy Studies (CPS) refused to take us and refused to transfer credits to us, but somehow it was managed. And but once they started discriminating us, we revolted and we had protest, and finally the problem was solved. So this is a problem that we have to admit. And plus what I feel, and what generally when we resist, the idea of government officials becoming researchers or academicians, once they call it, they have also got knowledge. But somehow even we academicians resist that. How come you will come and sit on the same platform? So that part is also there. Government accepting this mobility across institutions, once we are talking about, the people moving from government to the academic institution. This is also an issue that we have to answer once we are talking in the East Asian context, East Asian setting. You will find frequent, in not only in India, but outside also in East Asian countries. You will find in Thailand, you will find this problem in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Philippines. I have seen it all over. So this is another issue. Credit transfer, I'll just give one example and then I'll say move to other issue. Credit transfer, I had a scholar from Mumbai University. There was strong resistance in my institute to take her. Why? All other interns were taken, but they were resistant around her. What was the reason? Why? We have got very cumbersome procedure to send the credit back, and this will unnecessarily take task because no one knows. So this knowledge, this gap, this institutional gap, that exists, and that is a problem. I think that problem needs to be overcome. I'll give some suggestion and how to overcome that. So that poor girl was very bright, But institution was saying, from next time we will not take any one of the university interns where we have to give credit. They should come, sit here 3 months, we'll give them a certificate and they should go back. But coordinating and communicating with universities is a major problem. They say that university authorities are not less bureaucratic. They may say they may abuse bureaucracy, but they are more bureaucratic than us, and they will always ask questions. They will send queries. Did you do that? Did the person did that? Do that? So these are issues. The gaps are existing. Funding scholarships. We all abuse West, and I went to the US. I went on Fulbright scholarship. Still, I am anti-Western. So, but why did I go there? This question I think we need to ask. Because we think that provides better opportunity, quality education, employability. So once we think of creating our Asian community, we have to bring all these things back here. Japanese were giving me their own examples. We are offering Indian students a scholarship, so many things, still they don't come. And I was there. They go, why? Like very simple, Indians pay money, go as to United States, they don't go to Europe. This one we have to keep in mind when we start abusing West. Why? Because they get jobs. This payoff structure is better in United States. They don't go to Europe, they don't go to other in Asian, even in Japan they don't go. Because what will they do after spending 3 or 4 years? So I think that question we have to answer, that we have to solve. We may have so many things. Cultural process, acculturation may take time. Now I have how many minutes, sir? 3 minutes?
10 seconds.
10 seconds only, but I will just go 2 minutes I'll take. Okay, I'll go fast. We'll have to do conversation. Rindamji gave some suggestions. They are very valid suggestions. And the problem is of community building, institutional transformation. We have to do institutional transformation. There will be resistance, but institutional reconfiguration has to take place. Otherwise, we will stagnate. And it should be outcome oriented. It may be gradual, that's fine. And I'll just give 2 examples. MOU-led solution. 2 examples. One is in India only. Norwegian Center of International Cooperation in Education and UGC had this problem solved. Second example, what I am saying, UGC can be made a nodal agency. And that can solve many of the problems, and that can communicate, converse with even think tanks, research institutes, and provide guidelines to them. Second example I gave it in this part only, is Korea and Australia. And I just quote, so that it can help you. Quote from that MOU. The exchange of information on their respective educational systems and policies to assist in ongoing education reforms and to facilitate now the recognition of each other's vocational certificates and other education diplomas and degree and the student staff mobility. I think this is the theme that, and so why can't we have, as he said, an accord whereby we can solve this problem, but for that there will be problem. I can anticipate problems there too. The problem will be of standard setting, harmonization, course curriculum. So that you have to resolve. Just having an accord and not implementing that accord is not a good idea. So we will have to sit together, exchange of staff, exchange of faculties. I will just move fast, about fellowships. As I told, we love to go outside, but don't go to our east side, west side we go. So that we have to generate confidence in our people. That if you go to the eastern side, that is important. Trust building, confidence in the next teachers, students, all. That even if you go east, you are not getting harmed. That feeling has to step in. If that feeling doesn't step in, we will talk of a Asian community, but somehow we will struggle to implement it in proper sense. So that and a corpus can be created, we can map out, we can have a database. We just talked, so many ideas have been floated, that which center is good in what, which center is good in that, and then we can rate also. The rating, we are already doing rating of institutions in colleges, universities. So on this 16 means basically 15 working area of station community, summit community. So you can have rating of the institutions and benefits coming out of that. So that kind of thing can be conducted, and that could be very helpful. Networking is the issue. So with that, I think I should end.
Yeah,
I have already exceeded my time. Thank you.
Yeah, so many issues you brought in, standardization, convergence of curriculum, and other regulatory issues. But I thought with the ABC in place right now, it's very easy for the credit transfer within India, at least I know it very well. For the past 3 years, I've been doing that. In fact, my university was the first to complete 4 years of national education policy in the country. And we had at least 30% credits that we got from other institutions as well as MOOCs. Interdisciplinary courses and all we got through MOOCs. So with a QR code and certification, I think that is very easy for you to actually observe to your own system. So I think that things have really changed much now. I think we are talking about credit transfer between the countries and the foreign institutions in university. So I think that's one area we need to really look at. So let me come to Professor Sarao.
Thank you very much, Professor Bhanumurthy, the chair, co-chair, Professor Jayapong. I'm really grateful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Chaturvedi, who particularly insisted that I participate in the session. What Professor Bhanumurthy was saying about credit transfer, I think it's no longer really an issue. I have been running a course for the UGC MA level course in Buddhist history, where every 6 months I get around 1,100 students. Half of them are international students. UGC is writing very angry letters to the vice chancellors, registrars, and the controllers of examinations that they should fall in line, so on and so forth. And the whole thing is being, made smooth. So it's not really an issue. If you look at the information available from the UNESCO, for example, I'm surprised when we talk about things like harmonization of degrees and courses. ASEAN has done it long ago. They have already done it. And why? You see the whole stuff, whether it is academic mobility or credit transfer, funding, scholarships, exchange, employability, mobility obviously is integral to creation of new knowledge. That is all very fine. This is part of the this globalizing, selfish, greedy, unfair system run by these policymakers and economists whose agenda is to maximize profits, and the system which is run by salespersons. So all this talk about, scholarships and that, this is going to happen automatically. This very selfish globalizing system is self-corrective. So whatever you're talking about, pollution, how to solve it, new technology, this is self-corrective. It is happening. It will be happening. It is not really an issue. The wonderful, smart, intelligent manpower that the globalizing system has to support it, it will happen. It's not really a problem. My problem is, it's not that you have international joint degrees, distance learning with the provision of flexibility, stackable qualifications, distance supervision, virtual exchanges, educational hubs, multi-campus universities, offshore campuses, hybrid mobilization. All that is happening already. So what exactly are we talking about? And the academic mobility being one-sided, America, Eurocentric, balance is slowly shifting. It is coming towards us. Now, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea already are giving the Euro-American center a run for their money. China is now getting very close. And look at the universities. In the top 50 universities, you would have all these universities: Singapore National University, Taiwan National University, Shanghai University, Beijing University, 4 or 5 universities of Japan. They're going up. India is also obviously getting into this rat race, and in order to survive in this globalization, we will also upgrade ourselves. We have no choice. So our seeding also will improve. So this is not a problem. China, for example, offers something like 100,000 scholarships to students from Africa and Southeast Asia. 100,000 scholarships. India also is joining that rat race. You know, globalization. It's a question of survival. So India is also offering more and more scholarships to bring them in. So this consumer society run by salespersons, which creates utter greed, selfishness. Big problem of this society, first of all, is this system survives on exploitation and unequal distribution of resources. No matter how you try to plug the gaps and the holes and the problems of the system, there is no way you can deal with these things. It has to be unequal. So you keep a small door open where some people from the unprivileged, part of the society are able to get it. Like you let the steam out. So the whole system itself needs to be discarded. Alternative system, the Dharma tradition. By the way, Nalanda University wasn't exactly Buddhist university. It was set up by Buddhist monks, but it was a kind of Dharma tradition where even secular subjects were taught. Secular students were there. So I would talk about Dharma tradition. And why Dharma tradition? Why this alternative model? The idea is, whatever we have been kind of brainstorming about for the last 3 days, why? Why are we doing this? What do we want? What is our goal as humans? That is, to be happy, to be healthy, to be peaceful, right? So how do you become happy, peaceful, healthy? The selfish globalizing system pushed by these smart person, misguided, smart, intelligent persons, is that it breeds greed and inequality. The more you have, you feel you are happier and secure, more and more and more. My Dharma society offers a different solution to this problem. But before I come to that, look at what we have done. One couple, Meadows and Meadows, those of you who are familiar with their work, it's a team of about 40, 45 people. They have prepared a model, how globalizing this system works. So they have looked at all the variables and constants: industrial production, pollution, population growth, food production, and use of non-renewable resources. If this globalizing system continues the way it is continuing, we will collapse within the century itself. So the very future of mankind is at stake, which nobody is paying attention to. Schumacher, for example, a well-trained economist, spent quite some time in some Buddhist viharas in Myanmar, and that book, Small is Beautiful, is Buddhist economics. He talks about it. Another person, Erich Fromm, from Switzerland. He spent quite a few years in the US. He's a psychologist. He also writes about it. Sane society, how we have made it insane, terrible, which actually has the seeds of self-destruction in it. So from this Dharma tradition, this alternative model, we are moving in the wrong direction, what we call in Sanskrit and Pali, agati gaman. We're going in the wrong direction completely. So what we need to do is, what is this Dharma tradition? Is one, downsizing. You don't need these mega cities, mega industries, salespersons. My TV is working all right. My computer is working all right. I get 10 telephone calls to buy a new television, buy a new computer. Why should I do that? Why is that being done in this telemarketing and so on and so forth? Why? Why greed is created in me? Why would I like to have a bigger car than the car I have? Okay. So what I'm saying is, it is a question of mindfulness, sensitization, downsizing, and this system, this dharma tradition which I'm talking about, has inbuilt system where pollution, sustainability, these issues do not arise itself. I'm very happy that yesterday Dr. Vinod Kumar and today Professor Sarup Ghosh talked about it. I'm very happy. I think, guys, we need to organize ourselves. We are not really organized well like the other friends. And so what we need to do is, we have to put that kind of model in place, where instead of competition and greed, we need cooperation, empathy, sharing, that kind of thing. If you want to make this world a happy, healthy society, the kind of society that is emerging through this globalization, which is utterly selfish, it's very clear. We are simply moving into destruction. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very different perspective, and so being a critic of neoclassical economics to talking about compassionate economics, this is what I said yesterday. So I think we are in the right direction in that sense. So let me invite Dr. Satyanarayan Shastri.
Namaskar to all of you. And just few things which I would like to show on the PowerPoint about the collaborations, that most of the information is already available on the internet in this era of digitization. This morning I was with Vinod sir for a kind of Ayurvedic and Nakshatra garden that Honorable Vice Chancellor sir has suggested for this campus to plant those important trees. We were having site selections. So prior to that, just some of the few experience, this much distance how you will cover between the Vinod sir and Deepak sir. That distance only I talk about, which is very important. You see to it that it was year 2016, 20th of February. In the past 10, 20 years, or past 50 or 75 years, the most devastating cyclone devastated many of the South Pacific islands. That was T.C. Winston. Prior to that, I met a very simple person who used to be a reprographics in that university, FNU, where I used to work. So I said that I usually go to walk, because he was a native person, with him to learn about this new place. I was not having friend. What I will keep, sir, the mind, because this will take only 2 minutes. Yes, sir. The time factor, I will. Don't worry. So Levy told me that, Professor, have you experienced cyclone? I said, no, I am from an area in India which is not prone to cyclone. So I don't have any idea, Levi. Why are you asking this? Said that, Professor, do you have that cyclone shield at your house? I said, I have to ask, I don't know about this kind of shields, to my landlord. I will call him in the evening. He said, okay, tell him to put it. I said, Levi, why you are worried about the cyclone? He said that I am, a person from island. I have seen that beehives are built at very low height. Huge amount of flowering in the mango trees. These all are the very native indication of tropical cyclone. A person who doesn't know. And now coming to that distance, when we see that cyclone development is there, water molecule only stays 15 days maximum in the atmosphere. It doesn't stay there. Its residence time is that. The problem, carbon dioxide, climate change, we talk, it is more than 100 years the residence time. Anyway, I will not go into that. But Levy, from his traditional knowledge, knew that a cyclone is going to come. And from all those Himawari, that is a Japanese satellite, which is continuously monitoring the South Pacific region for tropical meteorological consortium, they continuously monitor with IR beams that what could be the situation. They could not assess anything about it. Whole of the world scientists have been tried to predicting the path of the cyclone, which hits generally from east to west. It took a complete rotation. But that person who was very close to nature could have assessed it. So the traditional knowledge which is there, if it could be integrated with the advanced system, like we see that constellation of a star, movements of meteorites, go and see in the simple ephemeris which we call Panchang. They will tell about the rainfall and 80% it will match. Our Panchang system, when the satellite was not there, they used to see this. So Indian knowledge system or the traditional knowledge system, natural intelligence, how it can be coupled in the artificial intelligence. Everyone laughed when I gone to JNU from a small village, especially the boss of Anand, and first time I saw the computer. First time. Prior to that I haven't seen 1998, 99. So then I asked that what this machine can do. He said that he can do many things. It can help in this. So I asked that if I speak, it will write. So he said that what? If you speak, it will write. I said, yes. Tell him to do whatever you want. If this machine can do it, would be very easy. That late night, everyone laughed at me in the hostel, celebrating the party that Shastriji doesn't want to work. That is why he bought a new theory that computer should do everything. But today it is doing, and even your mobile is doing. And now only tell that generative GPT, chat GPT and all, that write a nice presentation for creative pathway for student and faculty, it will give you the nice presentation. It will take less than 60 seconds. That huge database transferred, which I predicted, not predicted, but asked. As an inquisitiveness, I asked. I thought, why to write this? This machine is doing many. They said email. Then I purchased my first computer with that money. My guide professor S. Mukherjee provided. Then he said that a project from NIC has came email. So I went to down post office in JNU. I said that mail it, it will reach. He said, how it will reach? I said that professor said you will put it in an email, it will reach. I was not having any account. I didn't know anything. My first email account was sankatmochan@yahoo.com because Lord save me that you can check on the internet. But I didn't know that. What is email? And boss shouting from Liverpool that when you will email, when you will email. I have, anyhow, then I went to Bear Sarai, which probably sir knowing. I had time limit, I'm sure, keeping it. And then I have emailed. So in this 20 years, the stride of this technology and magnitude, to annihilate the time and distance is very important. That what sir has suggested about all online teaching, virtual conference and whatnot. Now I will go that this integration of traditional knowledge system into the artificial intelligence will be the future. Remember this, it will be the future. That natural intelligence, traditional knowledge system, you cannot undermine at any cost. Next, please. That what are the pathways? Very simple pathway are there. Most of the East Asias are focused over here. The reason is that we have a ASEAN fellowship, we have a BIMSTEC fellowship, we have a NU Bhutan fellowship. So more concentrated this zone is. Next, please. And you can see that many of the university, like sir is from Chiang Mai University, National University of Laos, and this Yubon Ratnachari, where our one of his student visited last year, and in Vietnam, University of Management and Economics in Batang, Cambodia. These are already existing. More number of students have a opportunity. Just see that next lying is a gigantic Indian and Pacific Ocean on the map. So better that if those who come to work focus on sea level rise, focus on the vegetation loss, focus on the soil runoff in this region is one of the biggest crises because high rainfall is there and they are depleting the vegetation, which will be one day they may have to import the green chilies from India or anywhere else, but don't know. But these are the alarming situation in these areas where I have traveled. Next, please. Just these some institutes collaborated with Nalanda. Next.
30 seconds, please.
Sir, done. It will be done in 30 seconds. You know, this is email we could send and it will reach Liverpool, professor said 25 years ago. Next slide. These are the universities. Next, institution from India where they can collaborate. All available on our website. Academic mobility. Then take the real-time problem for research. If a student comes from Vietnam, if groundwater crisis is there, he can work at Vietnam, guidance will be from here. Or if someone want to go to what Toshabanta sir has insisted, for archaeology, artificial intelligence is very important. Because now the sites are buried, they try to see it from the visual satellite imagery which will not work. Those who are working on the LiDAR technology, they can even map that small depth over there. Where it is applied in the past 1 year, you know better. I will not speak about it, that LiDAR technology to find the tunnels. Next. Funding and scholarship is available in all those ASEAN, ICCR, as I have said, BIMSTEC. My time is over. I hope my email has reached to Far East Timor, including that Fiji island where the international dateline is there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now the floor is open for comments and any other inputs from East Asian members. We have about 10 minutes. So is that okay?
I used to work on a committee at AUN. So AUN stands for ASEAN University Network. So now part of the AUN is more student mobilities within the ASEAN country. There's 30 members university and 100 something plus associate members. So the student mobilities within ASEAN has been long, like from some years ago. So I would suggest, maybe if it's possible, instead of, building up from the ground, trying to do ASEAN Indian, maybe if we can do conjunction with that community, because student mobility has been already going, and then credit transfer system has already been implemented for some years. I think it would be fast track if we can communicate with Simeo Raihet, where to include maybe AUN plus, so then we don't have to start from the ground, because all of those communities, we are already familiar with more student mobilities. I would say, it's something that we can plug in, some idea that we can negotiate so that we can be, AUN plus Indian or AUN plus AINU, because it shares the same spirits. And a lot of process has been, defined. There's a lot of prototypes has been doing for some period of time, and then it developed to be a better, solution. I would say it's something that we can explore. I think I'll let the stage to any other participants to include feedbacks, comments, so then we can conclude the session and go for lunch after.
Yeah. So we are from an institution, not from university, IDRVT. So it's not bounded by the credit transfer and all that, not only for a student, but for the industry. If they want to collaborate, come for some experience sharing and getting the experience, code sharing, what we are using for different IT system, that code sharing also we can do. And there I always say to my team also, we should follow Ashtangic mark. Ashtangic mark is represented by the wheel and the 8 arms along with that. And that's being used as key for treasure and vault across the globe. Be it US, be it Europe, whether it's Swiss Bank or Fed Reserve, the door to vault of gold opens through this Ashtangic mark wheel. Thank you very much with this note.
Sir, would like to request one thing, that if any collaboration regarding that, what sir has said, traditional knowledge system or Indian knowledge system, that how it can be integrated with this AI and to apply it for various kind of future prediction, where sir has suggested about the consumption. During those days, this consumption, when we talk about the sustainable development, I will not take time. Sir, only thing which we have not talked about is the mineral resource. It is limited. Reservoirs are calculated, it is limited. So we need half of the more earth if we are going in this direction. So sustainable consumption of minerals is most of the important thing which need to be taken into account for sustainable development or for limited consumption, because minerals cannot be prepared in the lab. It is naturally occurring crystalline substance, inorganic in nature. So mineral conservation also should be taken into account, if possible, in further course of action. Thank you.
Is this the last person?
1 minute maybe.
Okay.
Sorry.
You
Yes.
wanna-
Just 1 minute. I was wondering, why do we want to give degrees to everybody? All this exchange for degrees. Look at the G7 countries, who are really the force behind globalization. Good, equitable access is given to basic education to everybody in these countries. So everybody can go to the best school available. I've lived in Canada for about 10, 12 years of my life. The best school, you can go to the best school. So you pass your school, and then maybe 5% of the boys and girls who have the aptitude would go to the university. Others go to factories and drive taxis and run shops and are very happy. So why so many degrees? So you see, this globalizing thing, itself really needs a rethink. Thank you.
So regarding just one or two things. I was wondering, like Dr. Saran said, these traditional knowledge systems, it doesn't have boundaries. Whether it is indigenous knowledge system in any country, any part of the continent, any part of the world, when it comes to, narrowed down to a reductionistic approach or rather Cartesian way of compartmentalizing things, which we are used to, because being a colonized psyche and colonized education systems, this is what has happened all through. Nalanda in particular, I feel, as long as Buddha is here, it is secular. If it was not Nalanda or Buddha, it would not have been secular to have incorporated, spirituality, which is not, separate from materialism in Indian or Asian context. It went hand in hand. We had body, mind, and soul working together. So was our educational system as well. So why the student should be blocked in understanding deeper concepts instead of using artificial? Artificial is artificial. It will not be natural. So how was Buddha got enlightenment? Why can't you become the Buddha? So Buddha need not be just an idol that is sitting there. It can be you yourself as Buddha. and maybe something even beyond. So how we can inculcate such learning process, at least in this institution, as well as in other Asian countries which can contribute, which can do the same, by to understand more, from the intuitive brain. I don't know whether you are aware, the latest neuroscience talk have revealed that only 10% of the brain is still known to the most modern neuroscience. So what is that other 90%? Wasn't that the thing which the Buddhists or our Sanatana Dharmis or the great acharyas of Nagarjuna or whoever has gone into? Don't we need another Nagarjuna in Nalanda University? So let us, I think, like Dr. Ghosh also said, we should look into, if it has not begun, let us look into these aspects of how we can make the student blossom with the completeness, the holism or the holistic concepts of nature and its inhabitants as a whole. Namaste.
Now it's my role as a co-chair. Okay, but I'd like to share my personal story. So yesterday, I went with the trip excursion to Nalanda and Shen University. And I thought to myself, how could that particular place, or the Buddha, can make such a great impact where he can attract, for example, like Chinese monk walking from China to here 6,000 kilometers. Why is that? What's the value of having people come here? What he was created so then it attracts, so much of, or so many people put a lot of effort to be here. What's the real value of student mobilities? That's another kind of mobilities, right? I think I agree with Professor Sarao that maybe in some point we need to slow down and think again, what is the real value of student mobilities, right? So if we can make it so clear, value of the core value of student mobilities, if that's really a value for them, they would come. Like today, I feel like we put a lot of effort on making students' goals by support a lot of funding, Some funding, I have to beg students to take it, because they don't actually see the real value, what they're gonna get from. I think there's so much to learn from the trip yesterday, how, that particular place did, so that it attracts so many so many people from around the world to come. And now, in this day, we don't have only one God, we have education, right? And it happens everywhere in the continents, right? In India, in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Myanmar, in every partner's university. Can we make such a same impact, same analogy where we can attract students from around the world because we're creating, unique value or something, so then people would come. I think we as a leader, we only need to set, like ecosystem for them, so then they can, they can go, they can expanding their knowledge, seeing their own value proposition, so then they would go. Okay, so I think I would like to end just that remark, because we hear a lot of, opportunities and challenge. I think for the long-term success, we can start to ask ourselves or our university, what's really real value that we can create, so then we can attract these student mobilities to come to our, institution. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So as a student, my key takeaway from this session has been on the focus of credit transfers among the institutions by encouraging and creating pathways for more foreign exchange programs alongside funding and scholarships for a more holistic development of us students. Now I would like to request Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Chaturvedi ji, sir, the Dean of the School of International Relations and Peace Studies, to kindly facilitate Professor Jaipong sir, Chair of the Nalanda Special Session and the co-chair for this session as well. Now, I would also like to request Professor Satyanarayan Shastri ji, Associate Professor and Acting Dean of the School of Environment and Ecology, to kindly felicitate our respected Chair, N.R. Bhanumurthy ji. Now, I would also like to request our respected N.R. Bhanumurthy ji to felicitate the speakers of the session.